Welcome, everyone, to the Pet Masters League North American Finals. I'm Dragons After Dark, and joining me today is Pirza. We've reached the final chapter of NA competition here in Season 3, and today decides who advances to the World Finals.
Yes, that's right. The pressure is on. Today's winners will move on to represent North America at the Pet Masters League World Finals on January 10th, where NA and EU will be colliding for the World Championship.
As always, the Pet Masters League is about more than competition. Today's NA finals are proudly raising funds for Stack Up as part of the Stack Up Call to Arms 2026 campaign.
All donations from today's event are going to go towards directly supporting veterans through gaming and mental health resources. Yesterday, the EU finals, we raised over $2,000 for Stack Up. Thanks so much to everyone who donated, watched, and supported.
So let's talk about what's on the line. While the Pet Masters League World Champion will be crowned on January 10th, today's EU NA finalists are competing for regional champion and their ticket to the World Final stage.
All competitors this season will be earning a custom limited edition enamel pin, and the eventual world champion will be taking home a one-of-a-kind custom trophy themed around World of Warcraft: The War Within Season 3.
Okay, time to get down to business. Let's meet today's NA finalists. First up, we have Layla versus Gooskafer, two seasoned competitors.
And on the other side, we're going to be having Wox BC and Labombre, who have both fought their way through the NA bracket to get here.
Just to give you a structure for the match overview, the roster building will be what the competitors are doing first. So before the match, both players will select 12 pets to form their initial pool. At the start of the pre-match phase, these selections are revealed simultaneously on pet-draft.com. Then we'll be entering the counterplay phase. After reviewing each other's rosters, players choose 3 additional pets to adapt to any unexpected threats that might be coming up on their opponent's teams. Each player now has a pool of 15 pets to draft from. Then we will begin the pick and ban phase. Players take turns banning and picking pets from their opponents and their own pool following a set turn order. This strategic phase builds each player's final team of 3 pets. Then the players will choose their pet's abilities, meet up at the battle location, and begin duking it out with their adorable little companions. This will be a best of 5, so it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 battles. I believe for the first 2 matches yesterday, we went to battle 5 on both of those. And so after each match, the full 15 pet pool resets and the pick ban phase is repeated for the next round using pet-drafts play another round feature. And with that, I believe our opponents have begun this phase. They both have their main team of pets going on, which means they will begin picking their 3 additional pets soon to counter their enemy's pets.
Yeah, it looks like we have the rosters lined up on either side. Dragons, what can you tell me about the matchup that we have going on between Gooskafer and Layla?
So far we're seeing quite a few pets that we saw yesterday. We have the mechanical dragons, the Venture Bombshell, which is a particular favorite of some of the players in the league. We have some typical PvP picks, such as the Bone Serpent. We saw a lot of the Umbral Amalgam yesterday. That one has definitely been a really strong force so far this year. And mostly we've got some probably adorable picks on Layla's side. She has picked Lady Feathersworth, which is a particular favorite of mine. It is a beautiful peacock. And Murgle, the adorable little red murloc. And on Gooskafer's side, it looks like we might be going for some avoidance and blind tactics with the, let me find them, the Rose Taipan and the Sneaky Marmot. Both of those can get pretty speedy and blind their opponents.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of some of the more cute pets. Definitely a big fan of Lady Feathersworth. I really like how that one looks. But yeah, also the avoidance tactics from Zeuskifer are really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
Oh, absolutely. And then, of course, Zeuskifer has some power picks, such as the Rotten Little Helper. And the same can be said for the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling. Those pets are going to be a little slower, but they really can pack a punch. And unfortunately for Profit, there are still no ducks chosen.
That is a shame. I am a duck believer.
Oh, I think it's adorable because obviously the joke was for a long time, there were no ducks in WoW, right? So,
Yeah.
and then the Dragon Isles open up and we find, oh, there are, ducks in WoW. They all live on the Dragon Isles.
Yeah, they were just everywhere throughout the Dragon Isles, especially in the Emerald Dream Patch.
Yeah, I wasn't complaining. They were super cute. I really like their take on them. I like their beaks. Unfortunately, I think what was amusing is they used the baby yellow duckling on some of their like merch and everything, but we don't actually have the yellow baby duckling in game. It was supposed to be the time lost duckling, but it never released.
Oh man. Well, hey, it looks like some of our bonus picks are coming in. I see Pistachio on the side of Layla and Ranishu Runt. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. And Lost a Limb on the side of Zeuskifer.
Yeah, the Renishu Runt is definitely another powerhouse pick, and so is Lil Frostwing if they stick with that one. And Pistachio is going to be a speed pick. They also have a little bit of power behind them with Surge of Power. Generally, you're not going to see players using anything that's going to keep them from being able to use turns because Surge of Power does come with that 2-round recharge cooldown on it. So the pet can't use any moves for 2 rounds and you can't switch them out. So I don't think we'll be seeing that being used, but maybe they'll be using Wild Magic and Nut Barrage in combination with Feral Clawstorm. And they've also chosen Lil Mags. That one is a power pet along with Lil Ragnaros. So we have seen a little more power picks over on Layla's side.
Yeah, that is really interesting. It looks like, we have the bands coming up here. But as I was saying, it looks like the power picks are kind of being held as the bonus pets. So we'll see if Layla's strategy kind of adapts.
Absolutely. And so Zeuskifer gets to ban 2 pets first. And remember, if they ban a pet on their opponent's side, it will also ban it on their side unless they have already chosen that pet. I don't see too terribly much overlap between the sides today, except for the Violent Poultrid. I feel like that might be the only one that's on both sides.
That was something I was just about to point out. Yeah. I feel like in a lot of these types of events, there's typically a lot of overlap, but it seems like both competitors have very different compositions going in. So I'm really interested to see what the bands are going to look like.
Absolutely. And and Layla looks like she's banning the Lost Quill and the Umbral Amalgam. So the Lost Quill is one of those speedy pets. They can sleep their opponent. They get a bonus if their pet is faster than the other pet. And then the Umbral Amalgam has really been a bit of a nuisance this time around. But it looks like they have decided on the Venture Bombling. So I am sure one of our Pet Master League's staff, Fwen, will be very happy to see that pick.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Venture Bombshell, I was watching some of the EU finals yesterday, and I saw that one come up a fair bit. And it looks like we have the Shore Butterfly coming up from Zeuskifer's team.
Yeah, so Zeuskifer is probably going to use that one as a hard counter to Layla's Venture Bombshell because you're going to see probably that Sandstorm used, which can take a big chunk out of aquatic pet health because flying abilities deal bonus damage to aquatic pets, as well as avoidance with Cocoon Strike. And, it'll be a toss up for slot one. If we see any undead from Layla's team, we might see Scratch chosen or Peck. Yep, it looks like Fuen is happy, saying yay in the chat. And yeah, I mentioned yesterday, so the venture bombshell, not to brag again or anything, but it was one of my concepts that I passed along as feedback to the a particular dev, where I said it would be nice to have at least one pet where you could have an accuracy buff and demolish in separate slots. So Rain Dance is going to give you that 50% accuracy buff that demolish needs to get to 100% accuracy. So that's really nice. We don't need a lot of pets with it, but it is nice to have at least a handful of pets that have these really cool abilities like demolish. And I think there's another one called Cataclysm, and that one doesn't get used a lot because it also doesn't, no pets have an accuracy modifier on it. So it's nice to have at least one or two where we see that combination, and it makes the pets a little more dynamic and a little more fun to play.
Yeah, definitely. That's really awesome. It's really cool how new combinations of abilities are continuing to be added, and hopefully in Midnight we get to see some more, and maybe some new play styles will emerge because of that. Looks like Layla has chosen the timeless mechanical dragonling as her second pet.
Yeah, that one was chosen actually quite a bit yesterday, and that was probably to counter things like the Umbral Amalgam, just because you're going to see the bonus damage from those Dragonkin abilities against magic pets, and with it having a dot that'll tick off plus that initial damage, it's a really good choice. And it looks like uh, Zooskifer is countering that power pick of the timeless mechanical dragonling with the rotten little helper. So that one will be interesting if they're going to use it as like sort of a trap pet where you have booby trapped presence where you're going to lay that in anytime Layla wants to swap out, she's going to have to contend with that extra damage from booby trap presence on the swap in. And or they're going to go with something more elemental because it is the timeless mechanical dragonling, and they're going to see bonus damage to the mechanical pet from those elemental abilities.
Right, for sure. What differences do you think you might see today compared to what we saw in the EU finals yesterday?
I don't know that we'll see a whole lot of variation. Right now, we are seeing a little bit of a different comp. I don't know that we saw too terribly many flyers yesterday. I could be mistaken. I think we saw one or two. Mostly, you're not going to see a lot of flyers right now because of that Umbral Amalgam that's going to do a lot of damage to those flying pets. But it looks like perhaps Layla will be picking Widget the Departed as their third pet. And that one, maybe we'll see the Call Darkness Spectral Strike combination because that one's always a nice big hit. And then probably Pounce. You're not generally going to see Spirit Claws being used unless you can guarantee that Moonlight's coming up. And so probably Pounce, especially since they have the 325 speed, which means they will be outspeeding the Rotten Helper at least. Perhaps not the Shore Butterfly. I imagine Zooskifer is going to have the speed breed of that pet on their team. So we are just waiting for Zooskifer to pick their final pet, and we can start match one of the NA finals.
All right, awesome. I will say Widget the Departed, just based off of vibes, is one of my favorites out of what we're seeing so far. I'm a big cat fan. So I'm glad to see that one getting some use just based off of vibes alone.
Yeah, so Widget the Departed is actually named after the cat of basically the creator of Pet Battles in WoW, Muffinus. So Widget was his cat. And so it's named after his pet, who I believe sadly passed away. Or if they hadn't, they probably are now because the game has been around for a very, very long time at this point. So it looks like Zooskafer has chosen the Varmint Mark II as their third pet, and we can begin the first matchup. And with that one, I imagine we're going to see a lot of avoidance going on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think very shortly we'll be getting into our match. Today's matches will be taking place in the Ecodome Aldani, which I feel like is very fitting for a pet battle to be taking place in an ecodome.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, I think the ecodomes were probably one of the coolest concepts of the Koresh patch. I think they're really cool. I remember the first ones we got in Burning Crusade. I believe out in Netherstorm was where we had them. Very, very purple place.
Yeah, I
All
agree.
right.
It's definitely such a cool concept. All right, we are getting right into it.
Absolutely. And so they're going to be picking their first pets. Remember that pet that you see up first isn't necessarily who they are going to choose. That's just the order that it's sitting in their uh inside of their pet battle UI right now. So it doesn't mean that we're going to see the Oh, and it looks like we're going to have the rotten little helper and the mechanical dragon timeless mechanical dragonling. So long for some of these names, and it does look like perhaps Zooskafer is going for that elemental counter for the timeless mechanical dragonling. And unfortunately, because Blizzard is up, we are going to see that bonus damage from Ice Lance taking out that decoy in one go.
Yeah, it
And
definitely looks like we have a very strong start with that Ice Lance going on.
absolutely. And now we are seeing Widget the Departed coming in just in time to make sure that nobody is going to get hit by that. Sorry, the booby trapped presence. Call Darkness is up, and Zooskafer has brought in the Varmint Mark II to kind of counter Widget the Departed and do some strong damage with those critter abilities. And unfortunately, that time bomb that Layla put up has been avoided with, I believe it's Dust Cloud or Smoke Cloud, sorry. So, Smoke Cloud. And now we are waiting to see how they're going to proceed. If maybe we're swapping out. Nope, we are not swapping out. We are going to go ahead and just keep on attacking. And
Yeah, we can
so
definitely see the avoidance-based build that Zooskafer is having coming into play here.
absolutely. And of course, Layla made the decision to eat that booby trap presence when they brought the venture bombshell in, hoping to take out at least this pet with the rain dance and perhaps demolish. We don't know what they've chosen yet. So we are going to have to see what they decide to do. And it is with that demolish. That's a very obvious pairing. And the venture bombshell has been taken out by the Varmint Mark II.
All
All
right,
right,
yeah,
we're
we'll have to see what will happen next on the side of Layla. It looks like the timeless mechanical dragon wing is back in.
absolutely. So we're going to see if they have chosen Flame Breath or perhaps Spark as their counter after they use that decoy. So the Varmint Mark II does not have the advantage that the Rotten Little Helper has here. It doesn't have any double hit abilities like Ice Lance when Blizzard's up. So unfortunately, they are having to hit twice before that decoy is cleared instead of just doing it once. And it looks like we have Flame Breath from the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling, which is good. It's a good ability to have. It hits pretty decent, even if you're not a magic pet. It gets the dot on them. And then, of course, sorry. And Zooskafer doesn't have any undead pets, which take weak damage from Dragonkin abilities. So it's just a very obvious pick since Spark will only be very good if the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling's faster. So you can get that bonus hit. And we've got both pets in the mechanical round, and Chomp has rolled high, taking out the timeless mechanical dragonling, and now we are down to Widget the Departed.
Yeah, it looks like Junkstatani Phil. Oh, I was gonna say that pet was just barely hanging on, but it looks like they've been knocked out.
I
So we
couldn't
have
see the
the shore butterfly
name.
back.
I
Oh
couldn't see the
yeah,
name, so Junkstatani Phil is like, that's kind of chef's kiss. That's an awesome name. I love it. For anyone who doesn't live in the United States and doesn't know who Punxsutawney Phil is, it is the groundhog that lives, I'm not sure in what state,
I
but
believe
it
it's Pennsylvania.
okay, Pennsylvania, and that is the groundhog that tells us if we're going to have more winter or not. And it looks like Zooskafer pulls out that first win for the NA finals.
All right,
And
awesome. Big
sorry,
win
go
for
ahead.
Zooskafer. And we will have round 2 shortly out of a best of 5.
Absolutely. And don't forget, we are still doing giveaways for the Stack Up donation campaign. So we hit all of the goals yesterday. So we got to do, what is it, 5 giveaways because we got a $2,000 donation. So now prize 6, which is a bundle of the 4-ounce Dragon Roast coffee bag and the VALOR Heroes mug. That will be our giveaway at the 3,500 goal.
Yeah, that is awesome that we were able to hit that 2,000 goal yesterday. Would love to see that momentum keeping on, and I'm personally a very big coffee fan, so I am very curious to see what Dragon Roast coffee tastes like.
I have heard good things from one of our background production people that it tastes very, very good. They are very impressed. And so don't forget, you can donate at that Tiltify link in the chat that Valor Gaming has just posted. And as they say, it's amazing.
All right,
And
it looks like we are getting right into round 2. Zooskafer is choosing the Lost Quill as her first pet.
absolutely. So again, that one is a very speedy pet. So you're going to have 366 speed, that's very speedy for our pet collections. And probably going to see stay a while and listen used, maybe deep research depending on what we see from Layla's team, or spectral spine for that partial blind, and then probably arcane slash. And Layla has chosen the mechanical Pandaren Dragonling, so they're probably, or sorry, she's probably still looking for that decoy and maybe the team damage from Thunderbolt and that breath again, especially now that Zooskafer has a magic pet in play.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a mechanical pet would be very good in this situation. I know the Lost Quill is something I also saw a lot of yesterday in the EU finals. So I'm not surprised to see that one out again. It does seem like a very speedy pet.
Yes, and in PvP, speed tends to be key. You're playing a little more of a gamble when you're going for those power pets because you are generally going to be slower than your opponent. So it can make it a little more difficult to time things out, especially when you've got your opponent swapping their pet out. And Zooskafer has chosen the Bone Serpent as their second pet, so maybe we're going to see more of that dot damage with Bone Barrage and Death and Decay. And generally, people are going to be picking Call Darkness as their third slot just because you get that nice big hit ability. And, you know, it's a little bit of a gamble. We were talking about it yesterday with that 10% chance to miss that comes with Call Darkness and Sandstorm, but it's a risk that a lot of PvP players are willing to take.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting seeing how that risk plays out. What do you predict might be potential candidates for the rest of each of these teams' comps?
So for Layla, with countering that Bone Serpent, let's see, what do they have chosen? Well, it looks like Zooskafer took out probably one of the speedier critter pets, taking out Pistachio. That's the only pet I believe that they have that has a nope, okay, so they've got the golden chirper. So maybe the golden chirper, do sunlight, get some team damage, get rid of that darkness. Nature's touch, maybe dazzling dance if you don't have one of the speed breeds of the pet. And if you have a speed pet, you're gonna want flurry. If you're got a slow pet, you're gonna want skitter, just because skitter is going to be the more consistent damage if you're slower. But it looks like Layla might be going for a sort of decoy dot and swap team where they're going to be swapping between mechanical pets, throwing down that decoy to keep Zeuskifer busy with that. Although if the bone serpent can stay alive, you are going to see that perhaps those dots, if they're chosen, will be taking things out. Let's see. It's Zeuskifer's turn to add a pet. Not really knowing what Layla is going to choose and having the rotten little helper out of play, it looks like they're going for the violent poultrid. So maybe that whirling talons to get the team dot going with the bleed, or maybe egg barrage to help take out those decoys that are going to come up. And then probably Peck Slicing Wind is a little too iffy on the damage because it's a 1 to 3 chance, not necessarily a if you're faster, you're going to get potentially 3 hits. So you can get anywhere from 1 hit to 3.
Yeah, it definitely seems like on the side of Zeuskifer, there's a bit more of maybe a calculated risk. Definitely a lot of things that might be up to chance a little bit. Whereas on the side of Layla, you said that she was employing more of a kind of a dot and swap strategy. So I wonder if that's kind of a response to the previous round, maybe swapping a little bit more in order to increase the survivability of her comp. And it looks like we have the golden chirper as her third pet.
Yep. All right. And so the teams have been chosen and they will be finalizing their abilities now. And don't forget today, the Pet Masters League is brought to you by the proud partners at stackup.org, which is that charity campaign that we are working on today. Warcraftpets.com, where you can go and you can update your collections and see how you stand against other pet collectors. I think everyone's familiar with Icy Veins and Raider.io, wowpetguide.com, which is Zufu's Pet Guides, for those of you who didn't know that the address was different than the name that we generally call it. And of course, our wonderful host for this tournament, VALOR Gaming, VLRgaming.com.
All right, it looks like round 2 is underway. It seems like we have the Lost Quill and the Pandaren. Oh, I already forgot. The Pandaren Dragonling starting out here.
Well, we'll see. It just depends. Oh, yep. So it looks like Zeuskifer has opted for the Violent Poultrid, and they are going for that Whirling Talon's choice to get some dots on the backline. That is definitely going to help on that, what is it? The Golden Chirper, because that bleed is going to do strong damage. And the decoy does not block those bleed dots. So even if the decoy is up, you are still going to see the bleed damage coming up on the back line. So Blizzard's a little iffy on what they have the decoys block and what they don't have the decoys block. So you're going to see some things blocked. You're going to see some things not blocked. That's just Blizzard shenanigans. And it looks like Zeuskifer has used that Peck to get rid of the decoy. And then on that swap in, they did use the Maul to get the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling down to less than half health, but they did put up that decoy and the Time Bomb as they were doing last time. And it'll depend on what Zeuskifer has on whether or not they'll be able to have anything that has avoidance for that time bomb that comes in, or perhaps they're just going to have someone eat it. And we are getting those Whirling Talons dots back up, and Zeuskifer has 1 round left to figure out what they want to do, and they decide to let the Violent Poultrid eat that damage from the time bomb in favor of taking out the golden chirper with Maul, which gets that bonus damage when that bleed is on. And
Right.
obviously,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it definitely seems like, it looks like one of the pets on the side of Zeuskifer has gone down.
Yep, that violent Poltrid went down. It had took that big hit damage from Time Bomb. Time Bomb is a magic attack, which does strong damage against flyers, and it has a stun. And it used to be, they actually had to fix it, so it used to be a 2-round stun, and they rolled that back into a 1-round stun, so we definitely had to adjust a bunch of strategies on Zufu's, because the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling became a huge favorite right up front. And we see that Bone Serpent coming in with that Bone Barrage and Call Darkness. And the Mechanical Dragonling is going to try and do its best to get the Bone Serpent as low as possible before the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling comes in. And the
Yes, it looks like...
Sorry, go ahead.
It looks like that Timeless Mechanical Dragonling is barely hanging on at 6 HP. But the damage on the side of Layla is definitely ramping up. And there he goes. Oh no, it looks like the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling is still in there.
Oh, not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite. And unfortunately, again, those Dragonkin attacks will do weak damage against undead pets. And that is the end of round 2. And the win goes to Zeuskifer once again.
Yeah, that definitely felt like a bit of bit more of an explosive match. Lots of very, from dots to very sudden amounts of damage going off on both sides.
Absolutely. And having those dots in against those decoys is pretty much the way you want to go there, because the way it works, there's sort of a priority system on what your abilities are facing, if that makes sense. So the 10% chance to miss on Called Darkness is prioritized lower than Decoy. So if Decoy's in the front, those first 2 bone barrages are always going to take out the decoy. They don't have that chance to miss, and I believe their chance to miss on the ability itself doesn't even come into play. So decoy sits very high on that list of being able to be taken out by those dots and things like that, like Nut Barrage and Bone Barrage. So the decoys will always be eaten up first by those abilities. So it was a good choice to have those pets, or sorry, for the Bone Serpent to counter those decoys.
Definitely. It does seem like Zeuskifer is strategizing around the decoys on the side of Layla, and that definitely seemed to work to their advantage in this round.
Absolutely. And I will say we do see that, because Layla is picking first. She's probably seeing a lot of Zeuskifer grabbing things to counter what he's seeing on her team.
Yeah, it looks like we got the Venture Bombshell back. Gwen will be very happy once more about that. And then we have the Long-Eared Owl coming in on the side of Zeuskifer.
Yeah, so I'm going to be interested to see how Zeuskifer plays the Long-Eared Owl. The obvious choice for a lot of people would be Call Darkness and Nocturnal Strike, but maybe we'll see Cyclone instead to do some backline damage, and maybe Predatory Strike, especially since we know that the Predatory Strike is going to do strong damage against the Venture Bombshell, or maybe we're going to Call Darkness and Nocturnal Strike right off when that Venture Bombshell is in, just to probably take it out in just about 2 hits.
Yeah, I'm definitely very interested to see what Layla's comp is going to be in this round. Since this is a best of 5, she's got one more shot to potentially start turning things around. So maybe we'll see a shakeup in strategy, or something to more directly counter what Zeuskifer has going on.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll depend. I'm looking at Layla's team, And perhaps we'll see the Jade Mist Dancer come in to kind of help out the Venture Bombshell. It looks like we're going for Widget once more. Definitely probably gonna see Call Darkness Spectral Strike, or if we bring it in against the Long-Eared Owl, we can go straight into Spectral Strike because we expect the Long-Eared Owl to have Call Darkness. It's really going to depend. Either way, you do want Darkness up to make that Spectral Strike a 100% chance to hit because the target is blinded when Darkness is up.
Yeah, it looks like we have two of the same three pets that Layla had in round one. But I do know in round one, oh, okay. I was about to say in round one, there was a lot of work being put in by the Sneaky Marmot. But I just noticed that one got banned. So we'll have to see what Zuzkifer's response is.
That was a good choice for Layla to ban that Sneaky Marmot, especially if you're planning on bringing in Widget the Departed. Zuzkifer still does have the Anxious Nibbler they can choose from. It's actually a particular favorite of mine. I love that the speed breed is at 337, so you don't necessarily need Primal Cry to get faster, but it is a nice team damage ability, especially if your opponent has any critters on their team. But you can also use Nibble to do a 1-round stun, Dust Cloud for that avoidance, and then if you're faster, you can use Scrabble to do some big damage against Widget. But again, we also have the Shore Butterfly that could come in to help counter the Bombshell with Sandstorm, and it does have Scratch. The Varmint Mark II is still available as well, so we might see that one come back out. We might see Layla try to replay round one to do something different, perhaps, with the abilities. But it's Zuzkifer's turn to ban a pet, and perhaps one of the Dragonlings, maybe the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling. Oh, they're going for the speedy one, so they are taking out the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling.
Yeah, maybe. I'm wondering if by taking out the Pandaren Dragonling, we're going to see the Timeless Mechanical Dragonling come in once more on the side of Layla. And then on the side of Zuzkifer, I'm very interested to see if the Anxious Nibbler might come into play, like he said. That is another one of my favorites, just in terms of sheer vibes. I love that little guy, so I will be very happy if that one gets picked.
Yeah, I forget. I feel like they're probably modeled after something, but honestly, it looks like something you'd just find in Australia, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, it does. It looks like something you'd see in Australia. And then don't forget, so this is our season 3. It began on September 19th, 2025, and the World Finals will be next Saturday, same time, same place on VALOR's Twitch channel. The season signups do align with the World of Warcraft patch launches, so the World of Warcraft seasons. So if you are looking to try your hand at this battling and have fun in the brackets and maybe even go all the way to the finals yourself, be on the lookout for signups with the Pet Masters League for season 1 in midnight.
That is right. Next week, that will be the grand finals, and that will be EU facing off against NA, a battle of the regions, if you will. And it looks like we have our final teams. We got the Varmint Mark II coming in once more on Zuzkifer's side, and then Lady Feathersworth on Layla's side.
Absolutely. And Lady Feathersworth, again, everyone's going to get to see. It's an absolutely gorgeous pet. It was probably one of my favorite ads in Dragonflight. Very pretty, one of the peacock models. And I was happy that they didn't give us sort of the baby peacock model, because it is the reward for an achievement set. So it was nice to see an adult pet come in with that gorgeous model as a reward for an achievement.
It is definitely a very pretty model. I guess you don't really see many adult pet models being used very often. It is definitely little critters. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely recently, I do kind of wish they'd lean more into some of the adult models for the pets, because they have some really, really cool ones that would make great pets. I still think that we should have the big like Tyrannosaurus Rex ones, kind of like you see against little Tommy Newcomer and his pet. I wish we had that pet as like a reward for something.
Oh, that would be great. I would love a big T-Rex pet.
Absolutely. And we are waiting for the finalists. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I guess they're finalists. Okay, so the NA finalists to finish their abilities and get started with the battle. But before that, don't forget, we are doing a giveaway at the $3,500 mark for our Stack Up 2026 campaign. And you can donate to Stack Up at the Tiltify link in the chat. The next prize at $3,500 is a Dragon Roast coffee bag and the Valor Heroes mug.
All right, it looks like round 3 is underway. Zeuskifer has taken the first 2 rounds, so we'll see if there's any big shakeups going on.
Absolutely, and there she is, Lady Feathersworth, and it looks like Zeuskifer says, "I'm not dealing with your Lady Feathersworth right now," and puts it straight to sleep. And so the Venture Bombshell has come in, and Zeuskifer has used the Deep Research, which I believe will block 2 attacks. Let's see. Yep, so it blocks 2 attacks. It's kind of like Decoy. You do have to not do anything for a round, if that makes sense, which means you have to spend 1 round researching. So you kind of have a recovery round where you're not allowed to do anything. And so Zeuskifer has decided to do that, which has blocked both of those demolish hits that would have come with that Rain Dance buffed accuracy.
Yeah, it definitely looks like there's some heavy crowd control coming in from the side of Zeuskifer. Putting it looks like the Bombshell has also gone to sleep as well.
Yes, and you can kind of see why yesterday this pet was banned quite a bit, because it can be an absolute nuisance with those avoidance abilities with Deep Research, and then putting pets to sleep with the stay a while and listen ability, which I find amusing. Poor Deckard Cain, he's always trying to get people to stay a while and listen, and they end up just falling asleep.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, it looks like Widget the Departed is now out facing against. I love the names on the side of Zeuskifer. We have Fake Spear as the Quill pet's name.
So what's funny about the Lost Quill is that it is a treasure pet from Revendreth, and it's actually interesting. It's one of the few pets that you get to interact with, and it talks to you during the quest chain, where basically it's protesting its treatment at the hands of the Revendreth people. I forget what they're called, but the vampire-esque guys. It's like, "I'm not going back there, you can't make me," and you're just like, "Chill out, guy, you can stay with me," and it's like, "Okay, well, go get my ink, and then I'll go with you." So it's kind of cool that you get to talk with the pet.
Looks like Lady Feathersworth is out once more, and Arcane Slash did a critical hit onto it, but they're still hanging on. And oh, it looks like the Lost Quill has been taken down. So we have the long-eared owl in on the side of Zeuskifer.
Absolutely, and it looks like Zeuskifer has opted for that Call Darkness ability. Now, I imagine Layla might bring in Widget the Departed to get that. I believe they have Spectral Strike chosen and have that ability in. They won't have to do too terribly much to use it. We're just waiting to see what Layla decides to do.
Yeah, Call Darkness does seem to be a very powerful ability to be using here.
It is, and unfortunately, they buffed it. So they buffed Call Darkness, they buffed Sandstorm, and neither of those abilities needed the buff. But we still got the buff, and so they have kind of been wreaking havoc in the PvP queues lately, and that is why That is why for the tournament, we have made the decision that you can only have either Sandstorm or Call Darkness, and you can only have it on one pet. So you can have two pets that have Call Darkness on your team, but you can only select it for one of those pets. So we're not sure, we might be facing a technical difficulty. Oh, okay, there we go. It unstuck. So sometimes pet battles get stuck. I know it seems really funny, but it does happen where sometimes they just freeze up and you just kind of have to wait for the system to get its stuff back together. Okay, well, we might see Layla pulling out that win here. Zuzkifer is down to one last pet against both of Layla's, and so we're going to see if it's trying to just outlast the widget and then save those avoidance abilities for the Venture Bombshell.
Yeah, it looks like we had a little bit of a breather there for a minute, I guess you could say.
Yeah, just a
Um,
minute.
but we are down to
Oh,
one
and that
pet
was
each.
it.
Oh,
I
that was
believe
it.
Burrow rolled high and took out the Venture Bombshell before it could do anything, which means that our first round concludes at 3 matches with Zuzkifer heading to the NA finals.
Congratulations to Zuzkifer. That was definitely a very, very explosive play, I think, on both sides, really. But I feel like Zuzkifer definitely employed a lot more of those kind of like random chances almost, and that seemed to pay off for them.
Absolutely. They definitely did a lot of avoidance with those sleeps and then some blocks and dust clouds and burrows. And so they definitely played a more avoidance game. But thank you so much, Layla, for joining us today. And congratulations to Zuzkifer. And while we are getting the next team set up, we will remind you guys that the next prize, which is the Dragon Roast coffee bag and the Valor Heroes mug, will be once we hit the goal of $3,500 for that Stack Up organization. And just so you know, Stack Up is a charity supporting active and veteran service members from the US and allied nations by promoting positive mental health and suicide prevention through gaming and geek culture. So if you were
Yes,
interested, sorry, go ahead. My bad.
all donations today are going to be supporting their Call to Arms 2026 campaign. You can donate with the Tiltify link sent by Valor Gaming in the chat.
Absolutely. So they utilize a comprehensive approach consisting of 4-pillar programs, supply crates, air assaults, the stacks, and the Overwatch program. Oh, getting that one set up. So I am looking forward to seeing if we're going to see kind of the same play here with our next matchup between, I believe it's Wox BC and Lobombre.
Yes, our next match is going to be with Wox BC and La Bombre. It looks like the pet draft link is up and running, and we should be having the drafts for either side be coming in very shortly.
And as you can see, Lobombre's most used pet is the Lost Limb, and their nemesis pet is the Umbral Amalgam. And unfortunately, Wox BC's most used pet is the Umbral Amalgam, and they apparently don't have a nemesis pet, which makes me think that Wox BC is going to be a bit of a nuisance to deal with today.
Yeah, that is definitely an interesting thing to see, to not have a nemesis pet. I feel like that kind of implies a certain level of confidence, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I'm not sure I've seen that before.
And I do see the Umbral Amalgam coming up. I believe we'll be having the pet draft shown shortly. But the Umbral Amalgam is in the draft on the side of Wox BC. So I feel like that one is going to be coming into one of our matches.
Absolutely. And so Flip Method in the chat let us know no nemesis means they have never lost a match.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it sounds like Le Bombre has their work cut out for them today.
Yes, definitely. All right. It looks like the drafts are coming in on either side. Some of the same pets that we saw in the last round. I'm seeing the Lost Quill again, the Bone Serpent. We had the Lost Quill on either side and the Bone Serpent but on either side as well. The Mechanical Panda Iron Dragonling. What differences do you see so far?
So far, I don't think we've seen Indigo yesterday or today. So that one is a new addition. So that one is a very quick pet. It maxes out at 349 speed. It does have Dust Cloud as an avoidance and Kick as a 1 round stun. So you can kind of stagger that where you kick them for some damage and then you can put up Dust Cloud. And if you're faster, you'll have those. It's not technically a 2 round dodge, but it's sort of a 2 round dodge because you're faster. So it feels like a 2 round dodge. And then Horngore or Smash will just be depending on what threshold they like. So normally what you're going to see is probably Horngore because the range of damage is tighter. So even though Smash has a higher threshold it can hit for, you generally on ranged damage abilities, you want to do something that's a little the range is a little tighter so you can kind of know what to expect from your damage and you're not like praying for the high rolls, so you're more likely to hit higher a little bit. And then the Frostwolf Ghost Pup also, I don't think we've seen that one on anyone's roster. And then Spine Bug, that one was super cute. I remember finding that one on on the Shadowlands beta. So that one was interesting. We just, in the beta, you're just kind of wandering around trying to find stuff, figure stuff out, and you just ended up, there was just this pile that you clicked on. I think it was treasure or something, and just this spine popped out and is just kind of wiggling at you, and it's like, all right.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And
Yeah, I
then
guess you never know in the Shadowlands when a random wiggling spine might come and greet you.
especially on Maldraxxus. Let's see. All right, we are coming down to the last pet being chosen by Walks BC. And I'm kind of wondering, I'm seeing a lot of, let's see. We've got some weather stuff because there's quite a few pets. So the Bone Serpent, Sir Shady, the Umbral Amalgam, the Warden Owl, the Akir Tunneler, Buttercup. Like all of those pets have weather abilities. And perhaps that's why the Lobombre has chosen the Nightshade Sproutling, because the elemental pets are not impacted by negative weather effects. So if you have the Nightshade Sproutling in, it doesn't have that 10% chance to miss from darkness or sandstorm or anything like that.
Yeah, that's definitely really good to have, especially with the power that both darkness and sandstorm have going on. It looks like we have both rosters fully filled out for each team, with the anxious nibbler coming in right at the end on the side of Walks BC.
Yeah, it's a really good, cute pet, and as long as your opponent's not running a whole lot of like beasts or anything with beast abilities, it's a good pet. It's a good pet to have. I really enjoyed them. I enjoy making strategies with them. We did see Trunks yesterday, so I'm wondering if we're going to see the same kind of thing today where it's going to be like Smash and Ethereal and Avalanche. Ethereal can be a little tricky to time if your opponent's not running an investment effect like that Time Bomb. Like Ethereal would have been perfect to counter the Time Bomb. Trying to time it with any moves your opponent's going to make that round, that's a little trickier because the human element is there and you just don't know what they're going to use.
For sure. I think while we are waiting for the rest of our roster to be finalized, I think it'd be a good time to put in another reminder to donate at the Tiltify link to the Stack Up organization. Last week we hit 2,000, or I'm sorry, yesterday we hit $2,000, which was a really fantastic goal. And at $3,500, we will have a giveaway for both a custom VALOR gaming mug and a Dragon Roast coffee bag.
Absolutely. And then also for everyone here today, just a reminder that the world champion next weekend will be playing for a one-of-a-kind custom trophy themed around the current season of World of Warcraft. So kind of where we are right now in Koresh. And at the time of this event in season 3 in World of Warcraft, that is what they model everything after, which is why the season 3 pin has those Thorntail and the Perkin over there having a nice cuddle. And remember that all competitors are able to earn these pins, so everyone playing today, even if they don't go to the finals, will receive a season 3 pin, and they cannot be obtained any other way. You do have to play in the tournament to receive a pin, and the trophy you see on the screen right now is the sample of the season 2 trophy that is sitting on Tanixian's shelf, but you know, Baldo won over Tanixian yesterday, so Baldo's gonna get that or get the chance to get that season 3 trophy, and they did win that million gold yesterday for finally taking out the world champion 2 seasons in a row, Tanixian.
Yeah, I was about to say I was really excited to see that million gold bounty come into fruition. But that definitely means that the competition is very stiff. And I'm really looking forward to seeing who takes home the trophy next week.
Oh, absolutely. It was a shock. Like if you do the replay, I think everyone was completely shocked. Like no offense to Baldrax or anything. we I just think like after 2 seasons, we were just kind of like expecting Tanixian to come in with that win, but nope. Baldrax came in like a dark horse on the EU and dethroned Tanixian and gets to compete next weekend for that really cool trophy. And all of the best of luck to him. Not sure where he spent all that money, but or all that cold. Don't probably housing. I think is what
Probably
everyone was
housing.
saying. Probably
I
housing.
I have been eyeing the WoW token now that housing is out because my gold reserves are very quickly depleting. So yeah, definitely a great prize I think to be received.
Absolutely. So that was a nice little bonus, and they will be receiving that wanted poster that was made for
Oh yeah.
poor Tanixian. It was really cool. But let's see, we are waiting for everyone to confirm their 12 pet selections, and we will be continuing on with the bonus picks. And if anyone is wondering what is the deal with these pet picks and this screen, this is our pet-draft.com website, and anyone can use it. You can go there right now and set up a match between you and your friend. And it's great for personal matches between you and your friends and or guild mates. We know you don't necessarily have to be friends with your guild mates, but it does help. So you can go there, you can do these selections, you'll get to do the pick ban, and in addition, you do get to battle through the browser. You do get to do the battle. It doesn't have to be in game. It isn't just for picking a roster of pets. It will let you simulate the battle. We just prefer the personal touch of seeing the battles happen in person.
Yeah, I will say, for those of you who may not know me, I'm not very well affiliated with the pet battle community. I am somebody who does a little bit of everything in World of Warcraft, but pet battling is one of those aspects that I've not really dove into. So definitely over the course of this tournament, I have learned a lot about what is going on in this scene. And one thing I wanted to say is that it's really awesome that all of the customization that goes to each of the competitors every season at this tournament, with the pin that goes to all the competitors, as well as the custom made trophy. It's just something that's really cool to see. But anyways, it looks like our draft is continuing, and the bonus picks will be coming in shortly for either side.
Absolutely. And apparently Baldrax didn't spend the million gold, but he was kind enough to give 100K to his wife. That wife tax.
Fantastic. There's always a wife tax.
Absolutely. If my husband won a million gold, I'd be like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, I probably would have tried to scrape off a little more, maybe 200K.
Yeah, right. 250. I mean, that's just a quarter, right? You get 3/4, I get 1/4. You know. And just a quick shout out to all of the people working so very hard in the background for us today with Profit and Recon. We see you over there hiding. And of course, big shout out to Flip Method. So the competitor cards that you see that come up on the screen that look absolutely amazing, those were done by Flip Method. And of course, our basically kind of our referee or our judge, Fwen, over here checking the logs and letting us know 100% for sure that the matches are confirmed, the winners. We did have some really close ones yesterday that we had to check on. We had it come down to 19 HP on one of them to give you an idea of how close some of those matches got. It was a wild day yesterday in the EU.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a lot of those matches were coming down to the wire, and maybe we'll see some more of that today. As we have the bonus picks coming in, we got Trembler, Sentinel's Companion, and Shimmerboat Hoarder on the side of Labombre, and then we have Emperor Crab's Trunks, who I think you mentioned earlier, and then we'll have one more coming in on the side of Walks BC.
Yeah, we haven't seen Trembler this time around. Trembler is actually a pet that you get for defeating one of the legendary enemies out in the Forbidden Reach. Basically, what you have to do is you have to defeat, I think it's either 2 or 3 of the little small enemies around them, and then you can fight them. And for each enemy you defeat, their rarity decreases. So they start legendary and then they go to epic and then they go to rare. And if you defeat them at rare, you get a pet from each of them.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so the Trembler's the earth elemental, and then you have a water elemental, fire, and of course wind. But of course, they have to be up. Their world quest has to be up to be able to access them. So if you haven't collected those 4 pets, keep an eye out for that Pet Battle World quest in the Forbidden Reach to be able to go grab them.
All right, it looks like Brute has been the final pick, final bonus pick for Walks BC, and then the bans for either side should be coming in shortly.
Absolutely, that's when they'll start picking their teams. We haven't seen Brute. I'm really hoping. I actually have a little meme template for sunlight and photosynthesis teams. It's called 0 Days Since Time Wasted. And this was back when we were manually checking fights on Zufus, where we would have to go in and we would have to manually do the fight and time it out. And it would I would always dread seeing the sunlight photosynthesis strategies, and it's like, well, I guess I need to grab a book because I'm going to be here for at least 3 or 4 minutes.
I guess that's pretty accurate to real life.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are beginning the bans, which Lobombre gets to pick the first 2 pets to ban over on Walks BC's team. I'm really interested to see if they're going to get rid of their nemesis pet with the Umbral Amalgam, or if it, oh, yep, they did.
There it is.
There it is. Not shocked. I wonder if they're going to pair it with Sir Shady, because Sir Shady's kind of a middle ground Umbral Amalgam. So the Umbral Amalgam out of the 2 is the better option. but Sir Shady would, is an okay runner up. But it looks like they might be going for the Anxious Nibbler. And as you can see on the screen, both pets go red on both sides. That's because if you don't select the pet yourself first and you ban that pet on your enemy's team, it will ban that pet on your team as well.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all to see that Umbral Amalgam get banned, especially as it is the nemesis pet. And it looks like our next ban should be coming in on the side of La Bombre very shortly.
Yep, it'll just auto ban whatever they've already chosen. So the timer ran out, which means Walks gets to pick 2 pets to ban now. And as Flip has said in the chat, for next season, so that'll be season 1 in Midnight, we're looking to get guilds more involved. So if anyone has any recommendations or ideas in that direction, you are welcome to PM Flip Method in chat. And of course, you are more than welcome to join the Pet Masters League Discord. And as you can see here, the 2 competitors today are Lobombre and Walks BC.
Yeah, I will say Flip Method is kind of how I got connected to this pet battle community, and he really does a lot of work in order to make events like this possible. So big shout out to him, and honestly everybody involved in the Pet Battle League. This has been a very cool event to see unfold.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's a little more nuance to it than a lot of people realize to just pet battles in general. But thank you for the $10 donation to that Stack Up campaign. That gets us $10 closer to that next goal of $3,500, where you get to get the Dragon Roast coffee bag and the Valor Heroes mug for that prize when we hit that $3,500 goal. And my bad. So yes, and then of course, don't forget that the Pet Masters League is also looking for volunteers in various positions. Pretty much, if you can think it, they need it for a position. So they're looking for a social media manager, Discord moderators, pet reviewers, guide writers, article writers, and website tools developers. So they are actively seeking those for the Pet Masters League. They are open volunteer roles. And it looks like we've got our first 2 pets going. So Walks has chosen the Violent Poultry, which we have seen quite a bit of for this tournament, and the Shore Butterfly. And the Bone Serpent, it seems like we're going a little quicker now. Things have picked up the pace. And we've seen a lot of the Bone Serpent. Bone Serpent's kind of one of those OG PvP pets that we've seen pretty much since it released. A lot of people have used it. It kind of hit a lull once certain pets came onto the scene, but in this tournament, especially because of the particular rules that they have going on, definitely seeing more of the Bone Serpent coming into play.
Yeah, we definitely saw the Bone Serpent make some waves in the last match with Layla and Zeuskifer. So I'm not surprised to see that one in again, as well as the Shore Butterfly and the Violent Poultry. I think all of them showed up last match as well.
Yes, there's definitely some player favorites going on recently, and it looks like the Lost Quill and the Lost Limb and the Sentinel's Companion have all been banned on Labombre's side, and that reflects over on Walks BC. So we have both Sir Shady and the Umbral Amalgam, Lost Quill, and Anxious Nibbler going to the wayside. Everyone has decided they are not dealing with any of those today.
Yeah, not today.
Yeah.
But we will see what compositions do come out as we have the Shiverbow Hoarder coming in on Labombre's side. Another really cute one, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And that's probably to help counter that Bone Serpent, because undead pets are going to take strong damage from those critter abilities. Yesterday we saw it used with Vicious Streak. Although with the Shimmerbow Hoarder being that fast at 349, I imagine if we don't see anything super speedy on Wox's team, we might see Nibble used along with that Flash and the Sneak Attack because Flash will partially blind the enemy, so it's a 50% blind, which means Sneak Attack will still get that bonus. And it looks like Wox has finalized with the Emperor Crab, probably the power breed because that is 357 power, which means even though Surge does less damage because it's an always goes first ability, it can still pack quite a punch. And it means that the Shell Shield ability, if they use that, is going to mitigate more damage, and Renewing Mists will heal for more, Whirlpool will hit for more, Healing Wave will heal for more. So the Emperor Crab and the Power Breed can be quite horrible to deal with.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that one is going to be a big threat on Walk Species team. Very, very chunky, I think, with that particular breed.
Yeah, probably the best idea would be to counter it with that Shore Butterfly, having Sandstorm and Cocoon Strike. But again, if we're going with the speed breed of it, it's not going to pack quite as much of a punch if they go with the power breed. And it looks like Labombre might be going with the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling. This is kind of a team comp we haven't seen yet, and I am looking forward to them going into that first match.
Yeah, what do you think is going to be the strategy on Labombre's side? It seems like we have a little bit of everything with that composition.
Absolutely. So I imagine we're going to see the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling probably played similar to what we saw Layla playing it. So we're going to see Decoy probably. We're going to see Thunderbolt. We don't have any magic pets on Wox's team. So the breath will probably be used. Maybe, maybe not. Flyby will do some, it'll do damage, and then it also gives them a weakened defense, which means they will take, I believe, 25%. Yep, 25% extra damage. But again, you don't want to rely too heavily on things like that because that means that your opponent can just swap that pet out immediately before you can have a chance to do anything with that weakened defenses. So probably breath. And then I think the Shimmerbow Hoarder is going to come in against the Bone Serpent, and the Shore Butterfly will probably try to do its best against the Emperor Crab.
All right, it looks like our teams are currently getting their pets set up. So while we're waiting, just a quick reminder that today is the NA Finals, following the EU Finals that were yesterday. And next week will be the Grand Finals, where NA and EU will be facing off against one another for the Grand Prize of the custom trophy based off of World of Warcraft Season 3 of The War Within, as well as the enamel pin, which will be going to every competitor that has played throughout this season.
Yeah, I haven't seen any mock-ups for the Season 3 trophy, but based on the first two seasons, of course, it's going to be absolutely amazing, and I'm looking forward to see what Flip Method comes up with.
For sure. And it looks like the battle has started. We got the Bone Serpent and the Shore Butterfly out. We'll see if those pets will be sticking around. And let us know, Dragons, what you expect to see as we get into it.
So for the Bone Serpent, I imagine we're definitely, we're going to see that Bone Barrage, but probably because of Sandstorms mitigating damage, we're going to see Sandstorm used to help mitigate that dot damage. Sandstorm's really good if you're fighting a dot team, not just because of the whole fact that it does like a ton of damage, but it looks like the Shore Butterfly having a little bit of a struggle here, and unfortunately, almost died there. And the Violent Poultry comes in against the Shimmerbow Hoarder. It looks like perhaps Labombre was trying to bring in that Shimmerbow Hoarder against the Bone Serpent, but Wox sneakily swapped out, and now we are going to see Labombre probably using a filler ability, and I imagine, yep, so it looks like perhaps Wax is going for a dot strategy. So we had the Bone Serpent with the Bone Barrage. We had the Violent Poultrid come in with that Team Bleed and swapped out for the Crab. So I'm wondering if the Crab is just going to sit there and heal while while some of the dots eat through the pets on the back line and the crab kind of tanks things. And Wax switched them out, and the mechanical Pandaren Dragonling is in with Decoy, and unfortunately, again, comes in the Bone Serpent's Bone Barrage, eating through that Decoy just like it ate through that Cocoon Strike that La Bombre used. And now we are back. Oh, and unfortunately, that swap did not work out for La Bombre as the Bone Serpent took out the Shimmerbow Hoarder with that Call Darkness. And it looks like the Shimmerbow Hoarder was the only one that would have been able to handily deal with the Bone Serpent. Oh,
Right. It
and
looks like the bone serpent. Oh, go ahead.
yep, no, like that Bone Serpent, you're gonna see higher miss rates on it, but all it took was that one hit to take out the Shore Butterfly, and now La Bombre is down to just the mechanical Pandaren Dragonling.
Yeah, it looks like that bone serpent needs to be going down soon if you are La Bombre, since it is definitely a big threat, and down it goes. But unfortunately, the mechanical dragonling is all they have left, and so we'll have to see how long they hold on. Unfortunately, it's not very long as Wax BC takes the first round of this match.
Oh, well, the mechanical Pandaren Dragonling is still in.
Oh, it's still in.
Yeah, because it has its mech round, but that didn't last for too terribly much longer.
Ah,
We got the
yes, of
next
course.
hit.
All right. Well, congrats to Wax BC for taking round one. A reminder that this is a best of 5 series. So we'll see what strategies change as we get into round 2.
Absolutely. I'm wondering if we're going to see kind of the same comp or if La Bombre is going to try to do it differently, come up with some different moves. We're going to see some different pets, but we'll just have to wait and see. Until then, of course, special thanks and gratitude to VALOR Gaming for their ongoing production, organizational assistance, and support of the Pet Masters League finals. VALOR has produced and hosted the Pet Masters League Tournament Finals, then known as the Pet Battle PvP Tournament, for 3 seasons now, and I personally want to say thank you to everyone because all I have to do is show up and yap. So I appreciate not having to put any of this together. So a big thanks to everyone and the production of this and hosting the tournament.
Yes, for sure. Big shout out to them. I'm also here to just show up and yap. So big shout out to VALOR Gaming and everybody in the Pet Masters League for making this all possible.
Absolutely. And it looks like we have the first band from, maybe the first 2 bands from Lost Quill and the Umbral Amalgam again. La Bombre is definitely doing that. I don't want to deal with this pet. I am not going to let you use it.
For sure. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be a theme throughout this set with the banning of that Umbral Amalgam.
I certainly wouldn't be surprised. It's a very good pet. And for those of you who haven't collected an Umbral Amalgam, don't forget that it is a pet that will only spawn during the dark phase of the crystal in Hollowfall. Most people are probably going to be looking for the power and speed breeds. And if you don't know how to figure out what breed your pet is, don't forget, you can do the Pet Battle Breed ID add-on because unfortunately the default UI does not tell you that perhaps your pet has 10 breeds to choose from.
Right, for sure. There is definitely so much that goes into building your comp of battle pets. So I'm very glad that all of those add-ons exist to help you with that. As we see Trembler coming in as the first pet on La Bombre's team. What do you think of that choice?
So I'm wondering if perhaps it is going to be used as because its power is it's not great. So it's definitely a bulky health pet. So I'm wondering if we're going to see Sandstorm up to help mitigate some damage while we've got Nature's Ward on healing more than we're being damaged for. If with Sandstorm, you're probably going to want to pair it with Stone Rush just because Rock Barrage not really going to do too terribly much in the way of damage just because Sandstorm's going to be mitigating most of it. But Rock Barrage can be there in case Walks has anything that can be gotten rid of, as in decoy or like a cocoon strike or anything like that. But first up seems to be the violent Poltrid. So perhaps that Sandstorm in the Nature's Ward is trying to counter Walks BC's approach of those dots and team damage going on. So Sandstorm will help mitigate that. Nature's Ward will do the healing, and then Stone Rush will give you that big hit with a 1 round cooldown, with Sandstorm, I believe, helping mitigate some of that damage that you take from Stone Rush.
Yeah, it looks like we had the Violent Polchard coming in once again. I'm wondering if the Bone Serpent might come up again on Walks BC's team, although if the Trembler is a bit of a tankier pet, as you say, maybe it won't be as effective. But we also have the Void Glower going in on Labombri's team. So it seems like a very different strategy going on here from round one.
Absolutely. So the Void Glower is probably going to be for that blind and some kind of team damage. It'll depend on what Walks's full team looks like, on whether they choose Poison Protocol or Void Slap, and then probably throwing that dot on with Poison Lash or Sting, depending on what Labombre is facing, and then swapping it back out because unfortunately the Void Glowers don't really have a whole lot of health. So it's probably definitely going to be like a blind, team damage, and then swap out before the Void Glower can take any damage.
Yeah, definitely want to kind of hot swap in between the other pets of your team, as we have the Akir Tunneler coming in on Walk Species team.
Yep, so that one's going to be one of those powerhouse pets, which means that the Akir Tunneler Sandstorm is going to be hitting harder than Trembler Sandstorm. If Sandstorm is used, then probably going to be used along with Shell Shield. So what you're going to see there is you're going to see damage mitigation from Sandstorm, and then you're also going to see damage mitigation from Shell Shield as well. And then probably Claw. The Akir Tunneler's not speedy enough to really make use of Flurry. And it looks like Trunks is the final one for Labombre. I imagine we might be doing Ethereal and Headbutt because of the Akira Tunneler, and probably Smash. You don't generally see when Elix Fly used very much because it only has a 50% hit chance.
Yeah, it definitely looks like both of the other pets are kind of complementing the Void Glower, I would say. So it's definitely a different strategy, I think, on Labombre's side, and hopefully that'll make for a different outcome if you're a Labombre fan here in round two.
Absolutely. And just waiting for Labombre to ban a pet, and then Walks can pick their final pet for the lineup. And while we are waiting for that, don't forget that today's goal for Stack Up is $3,500 for the giveaway. That $3,500 goal will get you a Dragon Roast coffee bag and a Heroes mug as the prize for that once we hit $3,500.
Yeah, we hit that 2,000 goal yesterday, and it seems like the streak will hopefully be continuing for Stack Up. As we have the final pet coming in on Walks BC's team, it is the Frost Wolf Ghost Pup.
I'm going to be interesting to see how that one's played. Perhaps Frolic and Refuge, and maybe Scratch, because Sneak Attack doesn't really have any blinds to play off of on Walks' team, so probably Sneak Attack. And they are finalizing their abilities now. But out of the two, I would probably, Or maybe they're going to Frolic and Haunting Song to help get some backline heals going to keep like the Akir Tunneler. If they Sandstorm and Shell Shield, that's damage mitigation, and then you can heal it with Haunting Song. And then, of course, the Violent Pultrid. We might be seeing that one out first to get the bleed on and use Maul before the Sandstorm goes up, which will mitigate that bleed damage. There's not a critter pet on Labombri's team that'll take that extra damage from that bleed and that Maul, but it still can hit for some pretty big damage.
Yeah, it definitely seems like on Walk's PC side, the Akir Tunneler is kind of the power player of this comp. But the Sandstorm is definitely something to be wary of, and we'll see what role that Frostwolf Ghost Pup plays as well. It'd be interesting to see a healer, a backline healer, since I don't think we've seen that strategy come in yet today.
I don't think so. And definitely the backline healing. We haven't seen too terribly much healing in general. Most of the competitors have done pedal to the metal. I'm just going to try and out damage you. The closest we've seen is that mitigation stuff with like decoy and dodges and burrows and things of that nature. And blinds. I believe we have started. It looks like we might be good. We might be back.
Yep, it looks like we're back.
Okay. So now we just have to wait for them to pick which pet is going to come out first. I'm interested to see how everyone's going to start this time around. And it looks like we have the Akir Tunneler and Trunks. Again, Trunks wanting to do that damage or mitigation for how hard that Sandstorm can hit, most likely. And we have a swap out with the Frostwolf Ghost Pup eating that headbutt and the stun from the headbutt. That stun is only a 25% chance to hit, so that was bad luck for Walks there. But I believe because they have the Resilient Aura, if they use Ghostly Bite again, I'm not sure it'll stun them because they've got the Resilient Aura up. I don't think I've ever seen this. So I'm wondering...
Okay, that could be interesting.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Resilient Aura will keep them from being self-stunned. I imagine it will, because the Resilient Aura means that the pet can't be stunned again. But
all right, looks like the Violent Pultrid is coming back in.
Yep, that's to help counter those beast hits from Trunks, because flying pets take weak damage from beast abilities. So we might see the Violent Pultrid trying to help take out the... Yep. And we use that Ethereal to help counter that bleed, which means that Trunks does not have the bleed on, which means we will not see that bonus damage from Maul if that's what's used. And unfortunately, Walks BC's bad luck continues with yet another stun from that headbutt.
Yeah, those headbutts definitely seem to be coming in clutch from Trunks.
Absolutely. Like, that's some good luck for Labombre, some bad luck for Walks.
All right, looks like Trebler is back. Very big tanky pet. So we'll have to see how they hold against the Violent Pultrid.
Absolutely. And as you can see, even with such a low power and high health, it's still hitting pretty hard for Sandstorm because for some reason, as I said, Sandstorm did get those buffs. And so far we are waiting, and it looks like we are just going to sit here and wait for the Violent Pultrid to either be swapped out or die. So perhaps Walks is hoping that the Trembler will use their one attack ability besides Sandstorm. And in comes the Akir Tunneler.
All right, yeah, looks like the Trembler quite literally knocked out the Violent Pultrid. So the Akir Tunneler will be coming in. The Sandstorm will be at play, as he said, a very strong ability. So we'll have to see how they react to that.
Absolutely. And then the Akir Tunneler takes Trunks out. And so that was some, let me see what they used. They used Claw, so that was good luck that the Akir Tunneler was able to eat through the rest of the health and not end up missing because of the 10% reduction in Sandstorm. And Labombre has two pets that are still pretty much at full health. Walk still has the Akir Tunneler at full health, and then the Frostwolf Ghost Pup is pretty low at this point.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like the shell shield was used on the Akir Tunneler in order to give them a little bit of survivability as the Void Glower is out on the side of Labombre, applying those blinds as well as some other very useful utility.
Absolutely, and you did see weak damage going against the Void Glower with that claw. That's because beast damage does weak damage to flying pets. And now we are back to Trembler. And it looks like we get that 814 damage from that sandstorm. And we are putting on the heal once again. And it looks like Trembler might be countering with a sandstorm of their own. Obviously, not hitting for quite as much as the Akir Tunnelers, still doing a decent chunk of damage. And unfortunately, that claw did miss, which means that Trembler has no resistance for the heal happening there. Right, we've
Yeah,
got
that was definitely a very big sandstorm coming in for the Akir Tunneler. But it seems like that Trembler is still holding on as the Void Glower is back into play.
Absolutely. And you are going to see a block on the Akir Tunneler on the back line because I believe they still have their shell shield on. So that poison isn't going to do terribly much. And unfortunately for the Frostwolf Ghost Pup, it is blinded, but in comes that team heal we saw in the first attempt at this match.
Yeah, definitely very useful for that Frostwolf Ghost Pup to get that heal off. As the Akir Tunneler comes back into play, I keep wanting to call it the Akir Tumbler because I tripped over myself earlier.
Oh, and we do see 814 taking a big chunk out of the Void Glower's health. And we see a swap back over. And the Akir Tunneler is refreshing that shell shield. Too many words.
Yeah, definitely very useful so that the Akir Tunneler can keep holding on. We have Claw coming out as well. This time it did hit. And that sandstorm is still in play as well.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, that Slam is going to do weak damage. Sorry, Stone Rush, not Slam. Does weak damage to the Akir Tunneler. And we are down to one pet on Labombre's side, the Void Glower. They do manage to land that blind, meaning that nothing has landed from Walks BC. But we're going to see, oh, and unfortunately the poison has missed because of that 10% reduction in Sandstorm. And we see another miss. And then we take it out with a final claw from Walks BC, and that means Walks is 2-0.
That's right. Definitely another win for Walks BC. But it seems like that match was pretty close. We got to see a very interesting strategy from Labombre, and I think that allowed them to kind of hold their own for a little bit. But unfortunately, there were a lot of big power moves. I think the very big sandstorm was a key part, and we'll have to see what changes will be made maybe in round 3.
Absolutely. And I would say Labombre is inching closer to defeating Walks in the sense that the first round wasn't too terribly close, but this round was a lot closer for sure. I think this one could have gone either way if we hadn't seen some of those sandstorm misses. So it'll, I think, round 3, if Labombre wants to stay in, they need to win this next round, or Walks will do a clean sweep. And remember, Walks has not lost a single match so far in this season, so that'll be interesting to see if Labombre can pull out a win to be able to stay in, or if Wox is going to clean sweep it.
Right. Yeah, it would be our second 3-0 of the day if they're able to pull it off. A very, very fearsome opponent, I think, Wox BC is. And definitely a
Absolutely.
variety of strategies on both sides this match.
Yes, we have seen completely different strategies from the first fight into the second fight, and Lobombre going straight for that Akir Tunneler to ban it right off the bat.
Yes.
So,
Previously, we've seen that Umbral Amalgam get banned right off the rip. But this time it's the Akir Tunneler uh, and the Violet Pultrid as well. So maybe the Umbral Amalgam will make an appearance here in round 3.
it might. It just might. And now Wox gets to ban 2 pets, so I'm wondering if perhaps they're going to ban, like, Trunks, because we've seen Trunks come into play and wreak a bit of havoc with those unlucky stunts from that headbutt, or if maybe we're going to see Trembler, just because eating through that much health, it takes a while, especially if you don't have something big and powerful like the Akir Tunneler to help take them out with that.
Right. Yeah. I think those stuns from Trunks were very key in Labombre holding on that last round. So I wouldn't be surprised if the elephant shows up again. As we see the Umbral Amalgam on Wox BC's team. So we'll have to find out what kind of power that little Voidy-Doo holds.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's one of those walks is just like, I think I'm going to beat you in this third match with your nemesis pet. And while we're waiting to see what Wox has cooking up, just a reminder that today we are working with the Stack Up charity. And one of the initiatives and approaches that they use to helping veterans and service members all around the world, not just in the United States, are supply crates. Supply crates are video game care packages sent to deployed units and veterans in need. Supply crates serve as a preventative measure, aiding to prevent the onset of operational stress by providing a healthy outlet for decompression before there's a problem. So, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. I think I tried to say that yesterday. I didn't look the quote up, but it's something like that.
That's right. Stack Up is definitely doing a lot of work in order to improve the mental health and the lives of the veterans all around the world through their Call to Arms 2026 campaign. So if you're looking to donate, there is a Tiltify link in the chat. We reached $2,000 yesterday. We are shooting for that $3,500 goal today for a chance at winning a Valor Gaming custom mug and a Dragon Brewed coffee bag.
Absolutely. And I have it on good authority that the Dragon Brew coffee is absolutely delicious. So be sure to help donate. And remember, we will be doing donations for the finals as well. So maybe you can't donate today, but maybe you can donate next weekend. It is all good. And just a reminder, in case you were wondering, this is the NA finals going on right now. Next weekend will be the World Finals, where we will see Baldurax facing our yet to be determined NA finalist. And apparently, Wox BC is the NA's version of Tanixian. And I don't know. Tanixian got dethroned. We'll see if the same fate is in store for Wox BC today, or if Wox BC is going to pull out that win as well.
That's
And
right. And it looks
our
like our teams are finalized. We have Buttercup and Rebellious Imp coming in on Wox BC's team. 2 pets I don't think I've seen yet today. And then the Lost Limb, Mechanical Pandaran Dragonling, and Indigo on Labombre's team. So we'll see if a different strategy is used. It looks like it is going to be on both sides.
Absolutely. So that's what's been interesting is the first match was nothing like the second match, and now it looks like the third match is going to be nothing like the first 2 matches either. I imagine that Umbral Amalgam is going to be that powerhouse, perhaps to help counter the mechanical Pandaren Dragonling. So even though what you're gonna see is that the magic isn't going to do too terribly much damage to the mechanical Pandaren Dragonling, but cleanup will clear out that decoy in one go instead of it needing 2 hits. And Buttercup, I imagine we're going to see Call of Winter and Deep Freeze with that stun. The Rebellious Imp has gone both ways this time around yesterday, where Nethergate was used to force swap and Portal was also used to self swap after putting on that immolation aura.
Yeah, I'm definitely very curious to see what the Rebellious Imp is going to be doing here, as I believe that was a pet that was banned earlier in this match alongside the Umbral Amalgam.
Yep, so it looks like Wox gets to use a couple of perhaps favorites here today. And let's see, they are finalizing their abilities now. They are getting ready to start their pet duel, and we will see if Labombre can pull off a win to stay in this and go for another round against Wox BC, or if Wox BC will take a clean sweep. I'm interested to see how Indigo is going to be used, mostly because it does have that kick and that dust cloud.
Oh, and it looks like we might be battling.
Oh, are we
We
battling?
we might be getting right
Oh my
into it.
gosh. We're
All
battling.
right.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, they were raring to go.
They were. All right. So here we go. This is Labombre's last chance to get a win against Wox BC. It is 0-2 for Wox, and we have the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling out with the decoy, which has been eliminated because that imp does have that immolation aura on, which will do damage and will continue to do damage on that back line while it's just chilling there, which means it will also be healing on the back line if it takes any damage. And now we have the Buttercup in, changing the weather from darkness over to blizzard. And Labombre said, I'm not dealing with your Buttercup right now. I am force swapping you out with that Death Grip and bringing in the Umbral Amalgam. But Wox tried to get Buttercup back in, only to be hit by that bash. And now Labombre is going to start ramping up that damage with the let's see, empowering strikes. That's what it is. And that damage will slowly ramp up each time it's used. And now they are swapping over to the Indigo. That's the name. That is one of the horses I believe you can get in Bastion. But now that one has been stunned by Deep Freeze. We're seeing a lot of stuns right now.
That's right. Yeah. Buttercup does seem to be the kind of like central point of this team from Wox BC, like you said. They did take a little bit of damage, but they're holding strong, doing a lot of work against that Pandaren Dragonling.
Absolutely. And that's because that Blizzard is an elemental ability, and mechanical pets take strong damage from elemental abilities. And when Blizzard is already up and you use that Call of Winter ability again, it will do bonus damage. And with that, Buttercup has taken out that mechanical Pandaren Dragonling, and Labombre is bringing Indigo in. Unfortunately, this is a speed tie, and Buttercup won that speed tie on Indigo, taking it out. And so it all comes down to the undead pet, the lost limb, and unfortunately, Deep Freeze was up. And that is the end of Labombre, unfortunately. And Wox BC makes a clean sweep, moving on to face their opponent from the previous match.
That's right. It was kind of a 1-2-3 punch from Buttercup there. It felt like knocking out each of Labombre's pets. It was very, very fast and a very
Yeah, that one was
win.
fast. That one was quick.
Yeah, that was a really quick one, and they were raring to get into it too after all of those DC issues. But yeah, big
Absolutely.
congrats to Walks BC for winning 3-0 against Le Bombre.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, La Bombre, for joining us. And thank you, everyone here, for your patience while we wait to have these issues sorted out on Blizzard's end. You did an absolutely phenomenal job being patient. So thank you. Which
Yes,
means
that's
I
right.
believe that it is Zeuskifer versus Walks BC.
Zooskipper versus Walks.
All right.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that played out. Both of those opponents today were able to win in 3-0 matches. So we'll have to see what happens once they're put against each other and what sorts of pets they will pull out.
Absolutely.
And one more time. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You go right ahead.
One more time. If you want to enter the Pet Battle PvP shop giveaway, all you have to do is type in !enter into the chat. The winner will be able to select one item of choice from the Pet Battle PvP shop. Lots of great merch on there. We have hats, we have shirts, we have stickers, we have Hawaiian shirts. So get those entries in there if you haven't already.
I mean, is there really any other choice besides the Hawaiian shirt at this point?
There's not.
There's not. Like, that's it. The Hawaiian shirt.
You want to look just like Flip Method in a Hawaiian shirt.
Who wouldn't? I mean, come on. All right. So yeah, I mean, kind of we're 3-0 facing 3-0, and as the Let's Get Ready to Rumble guy says, someone's O has got to go, and that means someone is walking away from our next matchup as the NA winner to go on to face Baldurax in our World Finals next weekend, Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern. And Baldurax is holding his head emoji in chat saying, I hope the final won't be 3-0. We hope so too. We're rooting for both
hopefully
of you.
it will be very exciting. There will be a lot of back and forth, and hopefully there will be no disconnections during the grand finals next week.
Hopefully. And so we have our competitors' cards up. We have Zookeeper Zeuskifer, whose most used pet is the Bone Serpent, and the nemesis pet is the Umbral Amalgam. Whereas with Walks BC, unfortunately for Zeuskifer, that Umbral Amalgam is the most used pet with no nemesis pet because Walks BC has not lost a single match so far this season.
That's right, which is absolutely crazy. We'll have to see maybe if Zeuskifer can shake things up in that department. The Umbral Amalgam is a very interesting pet, as we saw in the last round. It was banned for the first 2 matches and then came out in round 3, and it definitely played a big part in, I think, this 3-0 sweep, although Buttercup also I think had a big hand in that as well.
Absolutely. And Buttercup is a bit of a force to be reckoned with, honestly, because it's very speedy. And you wouldn't, based on seeing the damage that happens with Call of Winter, you wouldn't really think that it's doing all that much. But once you get that Blizzard going, if you can keep hitting it on cooldown, you're doing double damage if that weather isn't changed. And that can add up over time, especially across, 15, 20 rounds like we've been seeing here.
Yeah, seeing the Blizzard was definitely interesting that last match, as, like you said before, a lot of the weather has been dominated by sandstorm and darkness, to the point where it is in. You'll have to remind me what the specific rule is, but they have made their way into the rule set for this tournament as a restriction. And so seeing the Blizzard come out as well and do a lot of work in taking out the Bombre's team was really interesting for me to see.
Yes, absolutely. So the way Sandstorm and Call Darkness rules work for this tournament to make sure it stays fresh and everyone's not just spamming Sandstorm and Call Darkness across 3 pets, you are only allowed to use one or the other, and you can only use it on 1 pet. So you could have 3 pets on your team, like all 3 pets can do Call Darkness, or 2 pets have Call Darkness and 1 has Sandstorm, but only one of those pets is allowed to use that weather ability. So you can have 1 darkness on the team or 1 sandstorm on the team. You can't have both and you can't have more than 1.
Yes, that's right. And yeah, like I said, we've definitely seen either Call Darkness or Sandstorm show up in every match except for Blizzard, which showed up in that final match. And as we get into our next face-off of Zucifer and Wox BC, we are also finalizing the winner of our giveaway, which should be announced very shortly.
Absolutely, and don't forget that giveaway is from the Pet Masters League website, where you can choose from a bunch of different items if you are the winner, although you are getting peer pressured into the Hawaiian shirt and, of course, if you're comfortable with it, a photo showing it off. And it looks like we have our winner, Yaley. Congratulations on winning the giveaway. Not so much congratulations on me probably mangling your name, but congratulations on winning the giveaway.
Yes, big congrats. I hope you pick out something, whether it's a Hawaiian shirt or not, something really great from the shop. I believe you will be put in contact with Flip Method regarding that, but the folks at VALOR can correct me if I'm wrong. Meanwhile, we have the main teams coming out for both Zuzkifer and Wox BC.
Absolutely. And just make sure if you do enter any of these giveaways and you are the winner, please make sure that your whispers on Twitch are open so that our VALOR gaming people can whisper you on the website to get that all set up for you. And yes, so we have our 12 pets waiting to be finalized. Once they finalize that, they will go into their bonus picks. And those bonus picks are there to help them perhaps counter anything that they see coming up on the enemy team that they don't particularly care for. We have seen a few of those come up and a few of those used to help counter enemies. Like there might be something coming up for Zuzkifer that they're going to use to help counter that dreaded Umbral Amalgam.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that Umbral Amalgam show up on both sides. So there is a possibility that maybe Zuzkifer can pull it out, maybe instead of banning it against Wox BC. We'll have to see. A lot of other regulars are showing up. I'm seeing Bone Serpents and Lost Quills, Violent Poltrids. Definitely a lot of the usual suspects here.
Absolutely. And it looks like Wox is definitely going, grabbed that Buttercup again, and the Rebellious Imp once more, and Zuzkifer bringing in that Varmint Mark II as well. They seem to favor that one in their last matchup.
Yes, that's right. We did see a lot of damage being done by the Varmint Mark II. And definitely Buttercup as well. I think that is definitely one to keep an eye on the side of Wox BC.
Absolutely. So Zuzkifer might need to bring in a weather pet just to make sure that that blizzard gets taken care of. And the reason that Buttercup works so well with Call of Winter is because they have that deep freeze ability. So what happens is if the weather is blizzard and deep freeze hits, it's a 100% chance to stun when the weather is blizzard. If not, I believe it is a 50% chance to stun. Or maybe 25. There we go. Okay, 25 without blizzard, 100% if the enemy is chilled. So that won't just be blizzard abilities. So that'll be things like slippery ice and frost shock, abilities like that. Anything that will chill the enemy pet will get deep freeze to a 100% stun chance unless you're facing a critter, because critters are immune to stuns and they take weak damage from elemental abilities. So don't go wasting your elemental stuns on a critter.
Yeah, that's right. Stuns are definitely a very valuable resource, I think. So you definitely don't want to be wasting them if you can afford not to. Meanwhile, we have some bonus picks coming in. We have the Emperor Crab. I think it's definitely one to be of note on the side of Zeuskifer. And some pets I've not seen yet on the side of Walks BC, the Sun Darter Hatchling and the Emerald Protowelt.
Yes. So in PvE, what you're generally using the Emerald Protowhelp for is it's kind of a tanky pet. So you'll throw on Presence, and then you'll Emerald Dream on cooldown to kind of keep your health up, and you'll Emerald Bite, and you'll keep Emerald Presence on and Emerald Dream up. And the idea is that you can heal through most everything, and you can do damage with either Emerald Bite or Breath. And then once you start getting the enemy down below 50%, you'll get that bonus damage from the Dragonkin buff. But the idea is it's kind of a tanky pet where if you're having a fight that you need to be able to last a long time during, generally that's what you're going to pick it for. It's not quite as bad as a Sunlight Photosynthesis team, but it does usually hit into the 30 and 40 rounds.
All right, and we are now getting into our pick and ban phase. So we'll be seeing Zeuskifer banning 2 pets. I heavily suspect that the Umbral Amalgam will be one of them, but we'll have to see.
It might just be, or maybe they'll take the risk and try to counter it with something else. Okay, the Fragment of Anger getting banned, that's one we haven't seen this time around. So the Fragment of Anger could have been either way. Soul Rush for maybe that stun and that, magic attack if Zeuskifer picks a flyer like that Violent Poltrid, or perhaps Spirit Spikes would have been used. We will never know because it has been banned.
Yeah, that's right. I was just actually about to ask you about maybe what the Fragment of Anger would be bringing, but we won't be seeing that this round since it was banned by Zeuskifer. Meanwhile, Walks BC is able to ban 2 pets, and as we pointed out when we showed off the player cards earlier, Walks BC does not have a Nemesis pet because they have not lost a round this season. So their choice of bans is a little bit more up in the air, I think.
Absolutely. It's quite a lot to come up against someone like Walks BC. It's one thing, when you're 3-0 just in the finals, but to come up against someone who doesn't have a nemesis because they've never lost a fight, the pressure is definitely on for Zeuskifer. So I'll be interested to see what they're going to play to hopefully take away Walks BC's win streak. Not hopefully on my part, hopefully on their part. I'm rooting for both of you.
It looks like Walks BC surprisingly banned the Umbral Amalgam. So neither team will be able to play that this round, since if you are to ban a pet and it is also on your roster, you also cannot play that pet. And then they banned the Lost Quill as well, which is not surprising to me. That pet seems to be a little bit of a nuisance.
Absolutely. And that's probably in response to Walks wanting to use that Violent Poltrid on their team, because looking through the rest of Zeuskifer's team, aside from the Foulwing Buzzer, we don't really have any magic attacks that could pose a real threat to the Violent Poltrid. So that was probably the thinking there.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. The Violent Poltrid has been used quite a few times by Walks BC. It seems like it does have quite a lot of utility.
It sure does, because it gets that team dot on with Whirling Talons, and then that means that even if you switch a pet out, it doesn't matter. Unless you have a dodge or some kind of blind, you're still going to get hit with that maul ability. And that's really where the utility of the Violent Poltrid comes in, is being able to do that team bleed and then being able to hit with that maul attack.
It looks like the shore butterfly was locked in as Zuzkafer's first pet, which was one that was used in their previous round, I think, to great effect. So, another flying pet to face off against the violet poultry.
Absolutely, and that pet will be, if they have the speed breed, will end up being faster than the violent poultrid, which only comes in one breed and maxes out at 325 speed. So the shore butterfly, if Zuzkafer has the speed breed, will remain faster than the violent poultrid, but that depends if they go head to head or not. I imagine we'll see the shore butterfly used the same way with Sandstorm and Cocoon Strike, with Zuzkafer deciding if they want to peck or scratch. They might want to choose scratch because Walks has that bone serpent in, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the bone serpent is definitely another scary pet to look out for. It is one that seems to dish out a lot of damage very quickly. And so I think it is definitely one to be wary of if you are Zuzkafer and building out the rest of your comp.
Absolutely, especially if Walks ends up having the power breed of that pet. I mean, that's 338 power behind all of its attacks. So it kind of looks like Walks might be building a similar team to their first match against Lobombre, where they've got dots. So we might be seeing that Whirling Talons dot with the bleed again, with Bone Barrage, maybe Death and Decay, if they're feeling spicy, I guess, and then maybe swapping out with whatever Walks chooses for their third slot. But Walks
I
is going
just
to have to.
noticed.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
But Walks is going to have to keep an eye out for that Shore Butterfly Sandstorm because that will be able to mitigate a lot of those dots coming in.
I was just about to point out Profit saying that they are going to be building a duck-only team next season, since there's a sore lack of ducks going on today, in my opinion.
I don't think we've seen any ducks so far in the tournament, which, no offense to Profit, kind of understandable. While the ducks are cute, they do seem to have a limited use.
I am a duck believer. Maybe Sergeant Quackers will come out for vengeance in the next season. Meanwhile, we have the final teams being finalized. You know, we had the Varmint Mark II coming in on Zuzkafer's side. Definitely a pet that they seem to favor quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a good pet, especially if you can get it in that speed breed. It allows you to have smoke clouds, so that's a dodge, and then burrow is also an avoidance plus damage ability, especially if you're faster. You can time that to avoid something from the enemy team. And then maybe chomp to help counter the bone serpent. That way the shore butterfly can keep peck or scratch depending on what Zuzkafer is feeling. And then the rebellious imp, once again, probably going to hit that immolation aura that'll do that consistent backline damage and heal them on the backline, and then maybe portal or nethergate depending on how Wax is feeling, aggressive or unaggressive. But considering it's a dot team, I would probably say portal. That way they get a free swap into one of their other pets, and we're just waiting for Zuzkafer to finalize their last pet.
Yeah, definitely a very dot heavy team for Wax BC, which is not surprising. We've definitely seen a few comps lean in that direction so far today. And we'll have to see how Zuzkafer is able to respond to that.
Absolutely. It's sort of the idea of death by 1,000 cuts.
All right, we got the Foul Wing Buzzer as the final pet for Zuzkafer's team. I don't think we've seen that one so far today. So what kind of utility does that one bring out?
So that one's probably you're gonna see Great Sting, so that'll give us a team dot, so that'll attach to all 3 of the pets. I would probably say Wing Buffet is gonna be used, that way Zooskifer can force swap, one of the enemy pets over Predatory Strike because we don't have any aquatic pets on Walk Species team, and then I imagine they're gonna use Barbed Stinger, so that way they can attack and then the enemy will go to the back line with a dot if Walks decides to swap them out. But we will have to wait and see what our players choose, and we will be able to do that very shortly.
All right. Yeah, it looks like our players are finalizing their teams, and we'll be getting into round one right now. The pet battle has
Absolutely.
begun.
Yep, now they just have to pick the first pet that's going to come out, and that will begin the battle. So, who do you think? Who do you think's gonna win this first one?
That is a tough ask. I will say I think I prefer the again very big pet battle noob, but I think I prefer the composition of Walks BC a little bit more. I just think that from what I've seen so far, there is a lot of damage to be dished out there.
Mhm.
But we'll have to see how the composition from Zooskifer responds.
Absolutely, and it looks like they use that foul wing buzzer to force swap out the bone serpent before it can set up with those dots with the bone barrage and the death and decay and everything. And that brought in the rebellious imp who has put on that immolation aura and now has the dot on them from that great sting. And so all of Walk Species pets now have that dot. And the shore butterfly has been swapped in at the same time Walks BC swapped in the violent poultrid.
Yeah, we have that immolation aura doing that nice steady damage. Meanwhile, Sandstorm is being put out onto the battlefield, doing a big chunk of damage to the violent poultry.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, with Sandstorm up, the Violent Poultrid's Whirling Talons did miss on the Fouling Buzzer, and the first damage missed on the, oh my gosh, the Shore Butterfly. And with the Sandstorm mitigation, the Immolation Aura isn't doing a whole heck of a lot. So I imagine Walks BC has swapped in the the bone serpent, yep, to change that weather, to give that immolation aura an opportunity to do work, along with the bleed where it managed to hit. And so now we'll see if Zooskifer is going to keep in the shore butterfly, and they are using Peck, and Walks goes for that bone barrage going on there, and we see that immolation aura ticking.
Yeah, it looks like the weather has changed to that call darkness. So you're exactly right. They're looking to counter the effects of that sandstorm. Meanwhile, on the side of Zooskifer, we have Juxtaconi Phil back onto the battlefield. Fantastic name.
Absolutely back with that amazing name because they are faster than the bone serpent. Zooskifer was able to use that burrow to be able to miss that liftoff damage. Unfortunately, it looks like the bone serpent might be at the end of their rope here. So we're waiting to see what Walks is going to do. Swapped in the rebellious imp on that last round of immolation aura, probably to get that going again. Maybe to burn if Zooskifer decides to keep in the mechanical pet. And that hit for 135 because that immolation aura is elemental and will do strong damage against mechanical pets.
Right, yeah, that immolation aura doing a lot of work against poor Juxtapani, taking him out, as we will have to see what pet gets swapped in next for Zooskifer.
Right, it looks like it's going to be the foul wing buzzer. So again, Zooskifer has chosen that bite and that great sting team damage. Unfortunately, it looks like it took a crit from an ability. Yep, so they got a critical hit with that burn. That did 631 damage to the foul wing. And
That's right.
it
And
is
it looks like the Bone Serpent is taking a lot of damage, hanging on 1 HP right now.
Yep, so they're in their immortal round, meaning they can still do damage, except they got swapped out by the foul wing to die on the back line, where it wasn't able to do any more damage. So now it's the foul wing versus the violent pultrid, and the foul wing is taken out by Peck. And it is now the, I wanted to say flutterby, but the shore butterfly, I know, is ready to do some work against the violent pultrid because its speed breed is faster.
Yes, this is the last pet on Zuzkafer's team, but the Violent Pultrid is getting very low, as I see it drop down to 0 right now, as the Rebellious Imp comes out. This is a very close round 1, I think.
It is, and I'm not sure, we still don't know what ability Walks BC has chosen in slot 3. They haven't used that one. We don't know if they have Portal or... And we won't know because Walks BC has taken out the Shore Butterfly for the first win, and it's 1-0 for Walks.
All right, that was a very close round 1. Definitely a lot of back and forth, I think, for each team, and we'll have to see what types of changes will be made as we start building out our round 2 comps.
Absolutely. And they will begin doing that now with Walks BC's ban while they are working on that. This is just a reminder that we are partnering with the Stack Up charity. It's a charity supporting active and veteran service members from the US and allied nations, so not just the United States, by promoting positive mental health and suicide prevention through gaming and geek culture. And one of the ways they do this is through air assaults. So to give you an idea, air assaults in the normal sense are when the soldiers are rappelling out of helicopters, which always sounded fun to me. But the air assaults for the Stack Up charity are all expenses, paid trips for veterans to attend gaming and geek culture events. These trips reduce the threat of isolation and by enabling them to connect with members of their military family who share their interests, and introduce them to a community of fans and industry professionals who support and admire them.
Yeah, a lot of great work is being done by Stack Up in order to make sure that veterans and military service members are being put in touch with their community. If you're interested in donating, there is a Tiltify link that has just been sent by the VALOR Gaming account in the chat. And we are aiming to hit that $3,500 goal, which will involve a giveaway of both a custom VALOR Gaming mug, as well as a bag of dragon roasted coffee, roasted by the dragons themselves.
Absolutely. I would like some dragon roasted coffee. Although perhaps that means I would have to roast it myself, since I am in fact a dragon. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, of course.
So it looks like Zuzkafer has chosen their first pet, one we haven't seen so far, the Proto-Avian Fledgling. So this one is from Zereth Mortis. And I imagine we are going to see that wind buff it used to use force swaps and lift off for avoidance.
Yes, and we can see the bans have already been put out on both sides. The Umbral Amalgam and the Lost Quill are out yet again, as well as the Rebellious Imp, which in the last round, I think, did a lot with that immolation dot. As we have the Sundarter Hatchling come in as the first pet on Walks BC's team, who is honestly quite adorable.
Oh yeah, I love the colors on it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's also a pet we haven't seen Pardon me. We also haven't seen this pet yet in the competition, so we have 2 newcomers on the teams. I imagine what we're gonna see is probably Sunlight, probably Ancient Blessing to recoup some of that health, especially get it above their normal health level, which is 1441, and then Blink Strike to make sure you get to do that hit first.
Yeah, it is very exciting to see two newcomers come in on our last round of the day. And as a reminder, whoever wins today would be the NA finalist who will go against Baldorax, the EU finalist, next week in our grand finals, the NA versus EU matchup.
Absolutely. So today means we are either going to see two completely new competitors facing off for season 3 finals, or the reigning NA champion Wox BC will be facing off against the new EU champion Baldorax next Saturday, January 10th at 2 p.m. Eastern, same place on the VALOR channel here on Twitch.
All right, it looks like the Violent Poultry has been locked in as Zuzkafer's second pet. Usually that is one that's been played by Wox BC, so we'll have to see what kind of or how Zuzkafer can employ it. Maybe it will have a different set of abilities or a different set of stats.
Absolutely. So that makes me wonder what Wox is going to do, because right now the Sun Darter only has the blink ability. So they might want to grab something with a stronger magical attack to be able to help counter two flyers on Zuzkafer's team. And also, for legal reasons, Valor Gaming would like you to know we don't actually know if dragons, for sure, dragons in general, have roasted the coffee.
Yeah, I guess that is worth pointing out, but the whimsy is still there.
True. All right, so we've got double flyers and now double dragonkin with the Emerald Proto Whelp, with Wox BC bringing in probably the power breed to help counter both of the flyers on Zuzkafer's team.
Yeah, it's really interesting seeing Wox BC bring in two of those bonus picks. As a quick reminder, those bonus picks are added on after each team selects their initial draft of 12 pets, and they're kind of used as a response in order to counteract what the other team has played. So cool to see both of those bonus picks in there, as well as a Fragment of Anger once again being banned out.
Absolutely, and probably banned because it has decent magical attacks, and it looks like Zuzkafer did pick quite a few flyers. So we've got the Violent Poultrid, Foulwing Buzzer, the Shore Butterfly, the Long-Eared Owl, the Proto-Avian Fledgling. So Zuzkafer's team was very flyer heavy, so I'm not shocked that they wanted to get rid of something like the Fragment of Anger, which can do Spirit Beam and do some backline magic damage, and Soul Rush or Spirit Spikes and Spirit Bolt or Spirit Firebolt.
Right, that does make sense. I do wonder if we're going to see a magic focused pet come in on the side of Wox BC. But meanwhile, the Rotten Little Helper has been the final pet on Zuzkafer's roster.
All right, so that will probably be, pardon me, with Club to help counter the Dragonkins. The Rotten Little Helper is going to do some strong damage with Club against those Dragonkin pets. And Zuzkafer gets one more ban, so I'm wondering what they are going to go for.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of different directions I think Wox BC could go. I wonder, maybe not for this particular match, but I do wonder if Buttercup is going to make a return, as they did a lot in the previous round for Wox BC.
Absolutely, and once the Flyers get down below half health, they do lose that flying racial bonus to their speed, and Buttercup would outspeed both of them. but perhaps we'll see Sir Shady. I was just getting ready to mention that one.
Sir Shady. Yeah,
Sir
there's
Shady.
that magic user. Fantastic pet name, if I do say so myself. And yeah, we have our final comps locked in for round 2 of Zeuskifer versus Walks BC.
Absolutely. And while we're waiting for them to get all of their abilities selected and get the battle going, we just like to mention that next weekend it is our World Finals, Saturday, January 10th, same time on the VALOR channel. And we really hope to see you there supporting our finalists, especially our players that were in the tournament. We would love to have you there. Love to see your takes and discussing in the chat who you think's going to win and sort of do your own kind of play-by-play.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing both how the rest of this set plays out, as well as what our grand finals next week are going to be looking like. As a reminder, the winner of of everything, the winner of the season 3 Pet Battle League Championship will be taking home a custom trophy themed around the war within season 3. Flip method, cooking up something really fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And don't forget the World Finals will be the best 5 of 7. So we could go all the way up to 7, or it might stop at 5. But considering what we're seeing so far, I'm wondering if we are going to see back and forth. But we'll just have to wait and find out while we wait. In our Season 1 tournament for midnight, be sure to check out petmastersleague.com to sign up. All right. 4th time's the charm, perhaps. Maybe we'll get going this time.
Yes, once more with feeling, we're going in, and hopefully we will be able to hold it out as we are in round 2 of our NA finals. Zeuskifer versus Walks BC, who was able to take round 1.
Absolutely. And it looks like Zeuskifer is starting with the Proto-Avian Fledgling this time instead of the Violent Poultrid, hitting it off with that Wind Burst and the Sir Shady Murgleton using Soul Rush, not managing to get the stun that time. But like that, unfortunately, the Proto-Avian Fledgling has been taken out of the equation.
Yeah, a very quick knockout, I think, of that pet. Meanwhile, we have Darkness as the current weather effect, and we have the Whirling Talons Bleed coming out as well onto Sir Shady. And all of the pets.
Absolutely. Yes, it does look like all of those did manage to hit, with the Sundarter Hatchling taking that Maul hit in place of Sir Shady. I imagine Walks is trying to save Sir Shady for the Rotten Little Helper and keeping that Shadow Shock ability to be able to deal with the Rotten Little Helper and their power. And now we have the Sundarter Hatchling using Sunlight. Don't think. Oh, and the heal to get a little bit of that health going, because the Dragonkin pets do take weak damage from flying abilities, so that Peck isn't doing a whole heck of a lot. But all that's left to see if they were going to use Blink Strike or Sleeping Gas, and it looks like we have Blink Strike, which makes sense since Zeuskifer has 2 flyers on the team.
Yeah, and it looks like that is enough to get the second pet from Zeuskifer off of the battlefield. Although the Sundarter Hatchling is just barely hanging on, there was a little bit of a heal coming in to keep him alive, but unfortunately, I feel like there's going to be a lot of damage coming out from the Rotten Little Helper here.
Yes, absolutely. They're probably waiting for Walks to bring in Sir Shady and to see what they're going to do, but I imagine the Rotten Little Helper is going to work on changing that weather, perhaps, so that Ice Lance gets that bonus hit. but Zuzkifer does still have the Emerald Proto Whelp to contend with on the back line. And with that, Sir Shady Murgleton has gone to their final resting place on the back line, and it is time for the Emerald Proto Whelp to work.
Yeah, we are down to one pet on either side.
Oh! And with that, Walks BC has experienced their very first loss of the season.
Yeah, that Emerald Proto-Whelp got absolutely chunked right down to 0% health. And we no longer have a 3-0 match here in the NA Finals today, as Zuzkifer is able to take their first game against Walks BC.
Absolutely. So now they are evened up. It is 1-1. It is anyone's game so far. We have at least 2 more matches in store to see who is going to meet Baldrax in the EU final. I had to think for a second. I've been so good at remembering names today. We're going to keep going with that. Gotta stop forgetting.
I've had a few of those moments so far today, so you are totally good. But yeah, I think we are going to be getting right into round 3, as we are now 1-1 with a whole bunch of bans coming out. The Lost Quill and the Umbral Amalgam getting banned out once again, as well as the Fragment of Anger.
Yep, and it looks like Sir Shady has also been axed. It looks like Zuzkifer is trying to take out as many of the magic options that Walks has as possible.
Yes, it does seem like the magic users on the side of Walks are particularly effective against the kinds of comps that Zuzkifer likes to play. A lot of flyers in particular.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm wondering, okay, we've got the Bone Serpent coming in on Walks's team. So far we've seen it with Bone Barrage, Liftoff, and Call Darkness. So I imagine we're going to see a similar comp here, which makes me wonder if we are going to see the Varmint Mark II on Zuzkifer's team again to help counter that Bone Serpent.
I could see that. That would be a little bit of a repeat of round 1 of these two teams, where both of those pets showed up. However, Walks BC was the one to take round 1, in part because of the damage coming out from that Bone Serpent, as well as, I believe it was the Rebellious Imp that did a lot of dot damage, who is currently unbanned. So I wonder if we're going to see that one again as well.
Absolutely. Some of these dot teams can really, it's one of those building things where they don't look like they're doing too terribly much at first, and then a few rounds later you realize all of your pets are down to 25% health and all of their pets are still doing pretty good, and you've like, where has all my health gone?
Yep. The Violent Poultry is coming out once again for Zuzkifer. So maybe we'll see some dots of their own from that Whirling Talons move.
I imagine so. Definitely the Maul has been doing good work so far. So I'm wondering if Walks is going to try to do some kind of avoidance to maybe not get hit with that Maul, because that's what's been getting that Sun Darter hatchling or whatever Walks decides to pick this time. And for anyone wondering about the browser that our competitors are using to pick and ban their pets, it is called it is a website called pet-draft.com. It's great for personal matches with friends or guildmates, because your guildmates don't have to be your friends, but it does help. So check out pet-draft.com. It allows you to not only pick these teams and do the pick ban system, but it will actually simulate the battles in the browser for you to be able to fight, try some things out without the worry of necessarily having to be in the game and experience server connection issues like we have today.
I was about to say exactly that. It is a great tool to have whenever servers are down. Um, but that being said, we are very happy that we were able to keep the tournament going in game inside Ecodome Aldani. Meanwhile, the fledgling Warden Owl has been picked as WoxBC's second pet for this round 3.
Yes, I imagine that is going to be another Call Darkness pet that'll help complement that Nocturnal Strike. And it looks like the Proto-Avian Fledgling is coming back for a return. Give them a second chance. Maybe we'll be able to see what they're going to do this time before it gets taken out if WoxBC manages to have a pet that's faster than it.
Yes, this is definitely one we saw in round 1, but it was taken out very quickly by WoxBC's team. So it wasn't really able to do too much, but maybe things will turn around this round. We'll have to see a lot of the flyers once again on the side of Zeuskifer.
Absolutely. And flyers can be pretty great, again, because of that initial racial buff where they get like 1.5 times their flying speed as their racial buff. So 50% more flying, which is why flyers will start out faster than you, but sometimes once they get below 50% health, they will become slower. And it looks like we're going with Trunks on WoxBC, so it makes me wonder if we're going to see Moonfire and Avalanche, since Headbutt won't really work too well against Flyers, but maybe Wox is hedging their bets, wondering if something like the Anxious Nibbler is going to come out. I think that might be the only... Yeah, that's the only critter. So I imagine we're going to see Moonfire, maybe Ethereal, Avalanche, and perhaps probably Smash, maybe when LX Fly. It's a little risky. Let's see. Flyers, Flip Method mentions, flyers are hard because they're much faster when they're above 50% HP, and that can be hard to counter. And when counters with does not always make them a good pick. And that's it. We have finalized our matchup for our teams with Zeuskifer picking that long-eared owl as their final pick.
Okay, I think I DC'd there myself for a second, but I am back.
I was wondering, I was like, oh no, all alone.
All right, yeah, we have our final teams here for this round 3. We are no longer in a 3-0 situation. We are now 1-1 with Zeuskifer versus WoxBC.
Absolutely, and as someone pointed out, Zeuskifer has gone for a 100% flying team, so we're going to see how that works out for him. You rarely see teams that are all of one family, because generally what happens is it's easier to counter a team with all of the same family than it is not.
Yeah, that is something I was just wondering about. It does seem like a bit of a risky play on the side of Zeuskifer, but it also feels like each of these pets kind of brings something different to the table. So maybe their utility will be able to kind of hold out against the disadvantage of all being flying, but we'll have to see.
Absolutely. And we're just waiting for the players to pick their pets. And it looks like Wox has started out with Trunks, and Zeuskifer has started out with the Violent Poultrid, going straight for that Whirling Talons to get the bleeds on those pets. And just as I thought, we've got Moonfire coming in from Trunks against Zeuskifer's flying pets.
Yeah, that Moonfire doing a lot of damage.
Yes. And unfortunately, that is the problem with picking when LX Fly. Even though it allows you to go first every single round that Moonlight is up, it still is only a 50% chance to hit.
Yeah, and it looks like that did not play out favorably for Zeuskifer. Uh, Meanwhile, we have Avalanche coming out doing a whole lot of damage to all of the pets on Zeuskifer's team as well. And the When Alex Fly rolling correctly this time and doing a whole lot of damage to
Yes, when it
Woxbc's team.
hits, it hits.
Yes, it sure does.
All right, and now we have the Proto-Avian Fledgling versus, well, it was the Bone Serpent, but now it's the Fledgling Warden Owl. And it looks like the Proto-Avian Fledgling used Whirlwind Dance. So Whirlwind Dance is actually an ability that was new in Shadowlands. So it looks like Cyclone, but in reality, it has 25 flying, not 25, sorry. It has flying damage that can occur, but it also has a 50% chance to stun an enemy pet. And that is why you see it only lasting 2 rounds because of that additional stun instead of the usual 5 of a normal Cyclone ability.
The Warden Fledgling Owl was taken out after what I believe was a force switch from Zeuskifer. So now we are down to 1 pet each for each of our teams as the Bone Serpent has now been put into play.
Absolutely. So right now it is literally anyone's game. We have, oh, we've got them going for the Call Darkness hit. And even though, oh, so we've got that from WoxBC. So because the Bone Serpent entered their undead round right there on that turn, that means technically WoxBC won. So the only way someone being in their undead round results in a loss would be, or a draw, is if they were already in their undead round going into the beginning of the round. If you die by going into, or sorry, if you go into your undead round the same round the other player dies, technically still a win, not just for us, but in Blizzard's system as well.
Yeah, that was very close. That was really a blink and you'll miss it kind of moment because damage was going out on both sides super, super fast. So in case you did miss it, WoxBC took round 3 due to being, correct me if I'm wrong, I may have misunderstood what you just said, due to being in undead form.
Yes, so that's where even though both pets had some big hit abilities that would definitely complement or, you know, be from darkness, the because Wox's pet went into the undead round on that round, but started the round alive, they still got the win. Of course, because Call Darkness was up, they could have still missed with that 10% chance on their Call Darkness, and then if they had killed Zeuska for the next round in their undead round, that would have resulted in a draw.
See, yeah, that Call Darkness at the end really kind of made things get really explosive. But that means we are now 2-1 on the side of WoxBC. So we will be getting into round 4 here very shortly.
Absolutely. And it looks like they are already starting their bans. Wox bans the Lost Quill and the Umbral Amalgam for both teams. And Zeuskifer once again getting rid of that Fragment of Anger and Sir Shady Murgleton. And now they get to add a pet. I'm wondering if we're going to see another triple flyer team or if Zeuskifer is going to try to change it up. Because if Wox wins this match, that means they are moving on to the World Finals next weekend, Saturday, January 10th at 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on VALOR's Twitch channel. Or will Zeuskifer tie it up, and we will have to go into the 5th round decision.
Yeah, that's right. We are in a potentially match point situation if WoxBC is able to close it out. or we might be able to get into a game 5 situation if Zuzkifer is able to take the next game. Yeah, the triple flyer comp was really interesting for Zuzkifer, but I don't think it really worked to their advantage. So my guess is that we'll see something a little bit different, but we'll have to see.
Absolutely. I think if perhaps it definitely would have gone more heavily in Walks BC's favor if perhaps they'd chosen a different magic pet, because that was cutting it very close, because that Call Darkness could have missed because Darkness was already up and then it would have been a draw. So it's one of those risk things that Walks BC took, and it turned out in their favor.
All right, we are seeing the Violent Pultrid once more, starting off the roster for Zuzkifer. I do feel like that is still a solid choice. It does a fair bit of damage, and it doesn't really have any huge weaknesses to what Vox BC has shown so far.
Yes, so the biggest challenge for the Violent Pultrid, based on what Walks still has left over, is probably going to be something like the Emerald Proto-Whelp, because if the Emerald Proto-Whelp comes in on the Violent Pultrid and gets that Emerald Presence up and then hits it with those really big hits on the Emerald Bites, that could pose a huge problem for the Violent Pultrid. But at the same time, you still have the Maul ability, which is really doing a lot of damage, and then of course the small but consistent damage of that Team Bleed.
And we had the Bone Serpent coming in once again from Wax BC. Another, I think, solid all-arounder that has, I think, a fair bit of strengths, but definitely can be taken out quite easily if the utility of Zuzkifer's team is able to work against it.
Absolutely, and it's been sort of a favorite since pet battles were a thing, and since it came out, especially in PvP, just because of all of that power. The fact that it's undead and you get that undead round, that's really what makes the Bone Serpent stand out here.
Yeah, and the fact that it is undead did come into play right in that last match. So maybe we'll see something like that happen again. We'll have to find out.
Absolutely. So I'm wondering what Zuzkifer is going to add here, if they are going for something like maybe the Varmint Mark II. Oh, we're going for the Rose Taipan. I imagine that one's going to be in the Speed breed, and that one is going to have a Blind, and then probably the Puncture Wound along with either Poison Fang or Vicious Fang. I would lean more toward Poison Fang because you do get the damage, but you get a dot just in case Walks decides to swap the pet out to the backline. It'll still be taking damage.
All right. Yeah, the Rose Typin is definitely a new one here in our round 4. So we're breaking the flying streak on Zuzkifer's side.
Absolutely, and it's probably a good move. You don't want to keep too many types on one team. Although the effort to get rid of the magic users on Walks' team has been quite a lot to make sure that Zuzkifer can still run those flyers. And now it's
Right.
Walks' turn to add a pet. We are just waiting. I'm wondering if we're going to see one of the Dragonkin pets again. Maybe Buttercup. Buttercup did a lot of good work for them in that first round.
Right. I know you mentioned the Emerald Proto-Whelp earlier. That would be a good counter here. However, that pet was played in one of our previous rounds and did get taken out very quickly. So maybe not. Oh, but we do have Buttercup instead. Definitely a very big power pet, I think, on the side of Walk BC.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that, simply because of that we don't have any weather abilities on Zuzkifer's team yet. So right now we've got darkness, and we also have the Call of Winter getting that blizzard up. That'll give us the stun. And now we see the Anxious Nibbler for the first time. So
Yes.
I'm actually wondering, so maybe all right, so the Violent Pultrid does have Whirling Talons. Whirling Talons gives that 4-round bleed. And if the Violent Pultrid manages to get that bleed going, use their maul, swap to the Anxious Nibbler, and nobody has any kind of like stuns on them, you would be able to get Feast to a 100% hit chance because the target is still bleeding.
That could definitely be a really, really good strategy, I think. I'm very happy to see the Anxious Nibbler back in. I think we saw it once earlier today, but I think it was taken out fairly quickly, but I think it can definitely be used to great effect here.
Agreed. And while we are waiting for our finalists to finish up with getting their abilities set up, you might be wondering why there are certain pets you're not seeing in the pet draft today. And that's because the tournament does have particular pets banned, pets that tend to dominate the field a little too much to actually make the tournament fun. And that's a big part of this tournament, is making sure that everyone gets to have fun and you're not seeing the same 3 or 4 pets every single time. So pets that were newly banned this season were Jingles, Cobbleshell, the Lime Roboclucker, the Teardrop Moth, and the Karaji Guardling.
All right, it looks like we are getting right into round 4 as our teams are selecting their first pets. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering what we're going to go with first. And I'm wondering if the Anxious Nibbler's perhaps going to have Primal Cry to make Buttercup a little slower, but it looks like we are starting off with that Violent Pultrid again. Probably going to do Whirling Talons right into that maul if it's been selected. I don't see why they wouldn't select maul. It's been doing a lot of really good work for them so far.
Yeah, that Violent Pultrid seems to be the tried and true for Zeuskifer so far, especially with that starting out with that Whirling Talons, just getting that initial bleed off on to the team of WoxBC, if possible.
Absolutely. And it's been so good. In fact, we had Fwen questioning in the chat why why has WoxBC not banned the Violent Pultrid, because it's been doing so much good work for Zeuskifer. But now we have the Anxious Nibbler in. As I've mentioned before, this is a particular favorite of mine. It's rather speedy. It can slow other pets down with that Primal Cry, which is really what I like to use it for. And then once you're faster, you can use Dust Cloud, and then Scrabble gets bonus damage when the pet is faster.
Yeah, it is I think, a really fun little guy to see here. As we are being currently rated on the stream from Halionics. So welcome to all of the raiders. We are currently in round 4 of the NA finals. So this is Zeuskifer versus WoxBC. This is a best of 5 pet battle PvP match.
Absolutely. And right now, Wox is leading 2-1 as we go in, and the Rose Taipan has selected Crouch instead of that Puncture Wound, which means it's going way more defensive. And unfortunately, all of the abilities here, all the abilities that the Rose Taipan could be using against the Owl will do weak damage because beasts do weak damage against flyers. So now we have brought in Buttercup as the Rose Taipan works on building the damage of that Vicious Fang.
Okay, yeah, Buttercup is out on the field, and we saw in the last round, or the last match that WoxBC was in, Buttercup did so much work, so much damage. And it looks like we're seeing that once again as the little red snake on the side of Zeuskifer goes down.
Yep, there goes the rose taipan, but this means that not Walks. Zeuskifer can bring that violent Poultry back in, probably looking to do the same moves with Whirling Talons and Maul once again. Unfortunately, this might give Buttercup the opportunity to get the Violent Poultry down below half health, which is exactly where you want a flying pet when you're facing off with them. Unfortunately, now Zeuskifer can perhaps maul, while Buttercup does Call Blizzard. And unfortunately, there goes Buttercup, which leaves Walks with the Bone Serpent or the Fledgling Warden Owl.
Yes, there goes Buttercup, that tried and true combo from the Violent Poultry coming in once again. Yep, now the Fledgling Warden Owl is out on the field. Doing a ton of damage and knocking out that Violet Poultry.
Yep, we've got Call Darkness up. Unfortunately, the Fledgling Warden Owl is barely hanging on above 50% HP there, or it was right up until that round. And now, because the Bone Serpent has died on the back line, it is going to be up to... it's going to be up to a hit to see if the Anxious Nibbler is going to die or last, as Dust Cloud is used to do that avoidance. And unfortunately, it looks like this ties us up. Right here, we are 2-2.
All right. Yeah, another very close match with only 42 HP left on that Anxious Nibbler. But Zeuskifer was able to close it out, and we are now in a Game 5 situation here in the NA Finals.
We are, for sure. I don't think anyone was expecting this, considering Walksby came into the finals having never lost a single round this season. So the fact that we are sitting here 2-2 going into the 5th match, and the fact that we have had so many close fights this time around. Yesterday we had a fight that was won with 19 HP. That fight was won with 42. So this is some really close matchups. We're seeing some really great fights here today.
Yeah, things are definitely really heating up. And as a reminder for all of the raiders and new folks to the stream, there is a Tiltify link going on in the chat right now. We are accepting donations to Stack Up, who is a military charity supporting active duty and veteran service members from the U.S. and around the world by promoting positive mental health and suicide prevention through gaming and geek culture. So if you're interested in donating, the Tiltify link is down in the chat. We are shooting for a goal of 3,500, and if we hit that goal, there will be a giveaway of both a VALOR Gaming coffee mug and some very, very nice dragon roasted coffee.
That is, for legal purposes, not roasted by actual dragons.
Yes, exactly.
And don't forget that today our competitors are looking to win our Season 3 trophy. We don't have a mock-up for it yet, but we do have an example of the previous season's trophy that you can see on your screen now, modeled after Undermine. All of the rewards each season are modeled after the current season, so last time was Undermine, this time is Koresh, as you can see with the Pet Battle PvP pin, which is the Season 3 pin with that Thorntail and Perkin cuddling. This is awarded to all of our competitors, and it is an exclusive enamel pin, and it can only be obtained through this tournament. There is no other way to obtain it. And yeah, I once again just blown away by all of the art going on here. And if you are looking to join up in Season 1 of Midnight's tournament, be sure to visit petmastersleague.com and try your hand at winning that trophy. And if not, you get a really cool pin and you have some fun times being able to battle your pet. And so far, it looks like we have Lost Quill versus Lost Quill. Interesting pick. And Bone Serpent versus Akir Tunneler for the second pick. So that's two different kinds of weather pets facing off. Bone Serpent generally going with Call Darkness, and the Akir Tunneler generally with Sandstorm.
All right, yeah. So in our game 5 composition, we had seen so far this set, we have seen the Lost Quill be banned every single time. Now we are seeing it picked on both teams. A pet that I think is a little bit of a nuisance just due to the amount of utility that it brings. But the second pet for each team is definitely different. The Akir Tunneler versus the Bone Serpent. So we'll have to see how the final pick for each side rounds out the composition.
Absolutely. And I think, I'm not sure if the Akir Tunneler was on Zuzkafer's team earlier or if they were facing off against the Akir Tunneler. This is the second or third time I think we've seen it in today. And then, of course, the Bone Serpent. But what'll be interesting is if the Lost Quills end up facing off against each other, what we're going to have is a speed tie, which means it's going to be a coin flip for the competitors to see who gets to go first. So probably they're hoping the Lost Quills won't have to face off against each other, but it might happen. So it'll be 100% luck of the draw if those two pets come together.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. A big coin flip would be very fun to see in our round 5. I do think the Akir Tunneler, this is the first time we've seen this on Zuzkafer's team. I think previously it was being played by WoxBC, but that is a pretty powerful pet so far.
Absolutely. And that comes in with a really big hit from Sandstorm, and then the Shell Shield that will come up to help shield from probably that Bone Serpent damage with the Bone Barrage. But it looks like Wox has chosen the Emerald Protowhelp. Gonna give it that second chance today to show what it can do. As I said, it's a pretty tanky pet. The problem is it takes a little bit to get it going, as you saw earlier with it getting taken out pretty quick by a faster pet. You have to be able to get your shield up. You have to be able to get healed up, and then you can start working on damaging the other pet if they're still, especially if they're still at full health.
Yeah, I think that might be a bit of a risky pick for WoxBC, but definitely very powerful if they're able to get all of that utility going.
Yep.
I think it is definitely a good counter to the kinds of pets that Zuzkafer has been playing.
Agreed. And as Flip has pointed out, the Akir Tunneler is harder to get unless you have a lot of gold for the auction house. And that is because the Akir Tunneler drops off of, let me check the name. So, oh my gosh, these names, Skix, Traz, at a 1.6% drop rate in the new Oldham, not the old Oldham, but the new version. And it looks like Zuzkafer has chosen the Emperor Crab for their final pet, and our teams are set for our 5th round, the final decision on who is going to face Baldurax in the World Finals next Saturday, January 10th, 2 p.m. on VALOR Twitch.
All right, yeah, our comps are locked in here for this round 5. I am pretty happy to see the Emperor Crab. I do like that one. It seems like a good all-arounder to finalize that comp. But we'll have to see if it can hold against WoxBC.
Absolutely. And so the interesting part about the Emperor Crab going against the Emerald Protowhelp is both of those pets use similar ideas where they shield, they heal, and then they hit. The biggest key here is going to be who can outdamage the other faster.
Okay, it looks like we are getting into it. So this is the final pet battle of the day. We are in game 5. of the NA finals. We have Zeuskifer's Lost Quill versus the Bone Serpent. Oh no, we have a Lost Quill versus Lost Quill. So I think we're
here
going to
we
have
are.
a coin flip happening.
Yep, coin flip every time. Oh, and Wox has lost that first coin flip. Their Lost Quill being put to sleep. So now it's time to see if they will remain in or if they're going to switch out. Once you take damage while you're asleep, it will knock you out of that sleep. Otherwise, you are asleep, as you can see on the screen, for 2 rounds.
All right, yeah, that was definitely a very big win of the coin flip, I think, for Zeuskifer. So we'll have to see how they can capitalize on that.
Absolutely. And I imagine that Wox has brought in the Bone Serpent to perhaps counter that, forbidden knowledge, or sorry, deep research. So to counter the deep research by doing dots, but it won't matter because Zeuskifer has swapped in the Akir Tunneler, probably looking to make quick work of that Bone Serpent with Sandstorm if it lands, and it does. And so now it's going to be who can land the next hit to probably take out the other, unless someone swaps a pet out.
That's right. The Call Darkness came in really quickly and did a lot of damage to, I got to point out the names once more, Unbeatable, the Akir Tunneler. But the Sandstorm is now in once more as HPs on both sides are dropping very quickly.
Yes, and so Wox BC has opted to do liftoff, and that shield was not enough to shield the Akir Tunneler from taking that liftoff damage and not getting that 10% miss chance. So now it will be the Bone Serpent versus the Emperor Crab. But Wox BC has swapped in the Emerald Protowhelp. This would be the perfect opportunity because the Emperor Crab's Surge is usually what's chosen here. It's not going to do a lot of damage. So if Wox can get that shield up, probably don't even need the heal yet. They can just start going to work with that Emerald Bite. And they both go for shields here. Unfortunately for Zeuskifer, that Emerald Bite, if it lands, or Breath, as we see here, is going to do more damage. And I imagine Wox chose Breath instead of Emerald Bite because of that Lost Quill that we've got sitting on Zeuskifer's backline right now.
Yeah, it looks like that Emerald Protowhelp is doing exactly what you had predicted, getting that shield going and just preparing to do a whole lot of damage in the form of that breath. But it does seem like that the crab is tanking it and healing right back up.
Yes, so that's with that short cooldown on Healing Wave, plus the damage mitigation from the Shell Shield. All of that is impacted by a pet's power level. So if your pet has lower power, you are going to see a shield that doesn't mitigate as much damage and a heal that's not going to heal as much, which is why getting the Emperor Crab in the power breed is important. And it looks like Wox has gone into that healing, still has their shield up, but
they are asleep.
Yes, so I wasn't going to say anything until he did it. So what can interrupt that healing process is usually the sleep, but clearly not anymore. Sometimes if you interrupt the heal with a sleep or a stun, it will stop the heal. But again, Blizzard inconsistency, it works for some things and it doesn't work for others.
I see. Yeah, and the Bone Serpent is coming out once more while the Emerald Protowhelp is being put on the back line. It doesn't have a whole lot of health left, however, as it gets briefly knocked down to 0, goes into undead form. We'll have to see if this Lost Quill can finish it off here.
Yeah, so it'll die at the end of this round. I think the whole reason behind bringing the Bone Serpent in was to sacrifice it because the Emerald Protowhelp was healed, but to also get rid of that shield from Deep Research with Bone Barrage, so it'll take 2 hits. And then, of course, get one more hit in with that Call Darkness. And we are back to Quill versus Quill. So because they are the same speed, you're not going to see that bonus damage from Arcane Slash. You have to outspeed the opponent, which is likely why WoxBC has chosen the plot twist. Also, plot twist would help clear the deep research shields that come up. So that choice was probably twofold on Wox's part. And so we've got the Emperor Crab coming back in. If he gets that shield up, manages to get a heal, but he's been put to sleep by that Quill. And it looks like we might swap. If we swap out, the other Quill is probably going to be killed. Or perhaps Wox is going to swap to the Emerald Proto-Whelp, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, with that crab asleep, it looks like that heal is not going to go off. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a switch here, or the crab is going to tank one more hit, still barely hanging on, with all of that damage coming out from this lost Quill.
Yes, and so the heal did manage to get off because they got that shield on, and Wox didn't swap out to the Emerald Proto-Whelp. So the problem that was happening there is because of that high power on the crab. That shield coming in completely mitigated all the damage coming in from Plot Twist, because Plot Twist is a multi-hit ability, which means it does multiple hits, but not much damage across all of those hits. And that's why the shield was able to block so much of what was going on there.
All right. Well, now the Emerald Proto-Whelp is back out, and I think we are going to see it be put to very good use on the side of WoxBC. The breath coming out once more and taking out Zeuskifer's lost Quill. So all that is left is the crab.
Yep. Oh, but they managed to get the heal off, so they sacrificed the Quill, eating that Dragonkin buffed attack from the Emerald Proto-Whelp. Unfortunately, they have no shield. They're going to attack once more. Depends on how this breath rolls. Oh, it rolled low, even with that Dragonkin buff. And yeah, it's too bad, but here we go. That was it. WoxBC is our NA champion for the 3rd season in a row. Congratulations, WoxBC.
All right, yeah, a very close match. A Game 5 closeout on the side of WoxBC. Wouldn't have it any other way than a Game 5. But that Emerald Proto-Whelp just doing so much damage right at the very end there. So big congrats to WoxBC, our NA champion for Season 3 of The War Within.
Absolutely. So 3-time winner over here on NA did not have a bounty on their head for 1 million gold. So maybe the NA players need to pull the gold a little bit, and maybe if Baldrax wins against WoxBC, win another 1 million gold or something.
Yeah, that's
if you win
right.
another 1 million, you're gonna have to give your wife at least half that time, right?
Yeah. No, 100K will not cut it for the wife tax.
No way. At least a quarter. At least 250K.
But we now have our NA and EU champion. So we have WoxBC will be facing off against Baldrax next week at the Grand Finals.
Absolutely. And Baldrax has already said GG Wox, see you Saturday. And everyone is looking forward to that. And just as a reminder, this will have to take place on the PTR realm, because obviously we can't cross-play from EU to NA yet. Just something to think about, you know. But what an incredible day of competition here at the Pet Masters League NA Finals. Congratulations to our advancing players, Baldrax and WoxBC. We'll see you again next Saturday, January 10th, for the World Finals. And a huge thank you to our community, our players, and to the Stack Up charity.
Yes, I want to echo all of that. Thank you so much to everybody who's able to put on this tournament, and to the Stack Up charity for all of the work they do. Be sure to tune in for the Pet Masters League World Finals on January 10th. same place, right here on the VALOR Twitch channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.